Broadcasting from Chicago, Illinois. Ladies and gentlemen, Ena and Ena President Ron Kraus welcome you to the 2021 Ena General Assembly.
Welcome everyone to 2021 General Assembly, presented virtually to our delegates across the United States and countries all around the world. As someone who has spent 25 years as an Ena member, I am humbled and honored to kick off such an exciting and meaningful week for our association. It all starts today with General Assembly. Thank you to the approximately 700 member delegates and past presidents who bring the highest level of commitment and dedication to Ena through your roles in helping govern and guide our future and the future of emergency nursing. It's been said before, but definitely worth repeating. Ena's strength resides in its members. I sincerely wish we could have been together for all this week's events, but certainly for General Assembly, because it is one of the greatest displays of our community strength each year. We all know the challenges that continue to surround us personally and professionally as long as this long public health crisis persists. But that hasn't slowed Ena or its members down. You'll see that very clearly today and tomorrow during General Assembly. The ideas presented and the decisions that will be made show the spirit of emergency nursing and demonstrate that through the minds of members, volunteers, and delegates are all focused on Ena's mission to advance excellence in our specialty. We might be physically separated, but we are together for General Assembly to ensure Ena will continue to shape the future as a valued and critical voice in healthcare, about patient advocacy, and to ensure the health, safety, and continued development of emergency nursing. Before we move into the business of the day, I do want to take a moment to contemplate where we stand today in the tumult of our world. This pandemic has brought a great deal of pain to so many. Working on the front lines of this crisis, we all know too well the profound loss experienced by the loved ones of those stricken down. We should not forget that the number of cases, the ICU beds filled, and the deaths all represent a person. We're trained to not let it get personal, but we cannot ignore the fact that we are human. And we should find ways to reflect, remember, and grieve for all the sick and those who have died due to COVID-19 over these last 2 years. The Ena community also mourns our members who have passed away in the last 12 months. Let's take a moment and honor their commitment to emergency nursing and Ena. At this time, I'd like to call to order the 2021 General Assembly of the Emergency Nurses Association. This is where you hear all the roar, usually, right? Woo, wherever you are. Yeah. All right, here we go. To make sure you have the hang of this, let's do a test vote. Is this your first General Assembly? This is where you vote yes or no. We have 10 more seconds. After that 10 seconds, we'll close the vote. I'll go ahead and display the results of the vote, please. We have 159 votes for this is their first General Assembly and 414 no, this is not their first General Assembly. So thank you. That kind of gets the rust knocked off for our votes, so we'll move on.
As of Tuesday, September 21st, at 8 a.m., there were 716 delegates who completed the credentialing procedures. Our bylaws require a majority of the delegates who have completed credentialing procedures to be present for a quorum. Based on the delegates registered, 629 numbers of delegates have logged into the Lumi platform. I move that the roll call of the delegates hereby submitted be the official roll call of the voting members of the 2021 General Assembly.
Great, thanks, Mike. We will now vote on the roll of delegates. Vote for or against on whether to approve this report. About 10 more seconds. All right, we'll go ahead and show the results. We have 586 for, 4 against. The credentials report is accepted. Let's move on how you can have your voice heard today. Delegates, past presidents, and alternate delegates can use the quick terms to enter their intent to speak in the chat box. Be sure to hit the gold send icon to send your message into the queue. The chair will announce the order in which the delegates speak. When you are called upon, raise your hand in Zoom. The raise hand icon can be located in the Participants tab. Please raise your hand so that the production staff here can enable your microphone and camera rights. Once the production staff has enabled your microphone and camera rights, you may start your video if you wish. You don't have to. Unmute your microphone, you have to do that, and begin speaking. Once your turn to speak is over or your time runs out, the production team will mute your microphone and disable your video. As always, please state your name and provide the name of your state council or indicate if you're speaking on behalf of yourself. I know we'll all get the hang of this pretty quickly, but if you run into any issues, check the landing page on the left side of your screen to live chat for technical support and we'll get you help. Now we'll move on to the standing rules of procedure. These are very similar to rules last year. I move that we adopt the 2021 General Assembly Standing Rules of Procedure. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, it is time to vote to adopt the 2021 General Assembly Standing Rules of Procedure. Please look at the left side of your screen and vote either for or against. You will have 45 seconds to vote. About 10 more seconds. All right, if we could see the results. We have 587 for and 15 against. The standing rules have been approved. The proposed agenda for this business meeting was included in the General Assembly handbook. There was a typo in the title of two proposals in the circulated agenda. In addition, I asked for the flexibility in managing the agenda to accommodate for breaks, etc. I move that we adopt the agenda with this flexibility. Is there any discussion on the agenda? Seeing no speakers, we will now vote on approving the agenda with flexibility. Oh. Okay, David Mcdonald. You can raise your virtual Zoom hand, which under the Participants tab you can find. And then our production staff will enable your video if you wish and your microphone. Are you there? David, if you're talking, we cannot hear you. Make sure you're unmuted.
This is Adam with Lumi. I have sent him a request to unmute, but he is not unmuting his microphone.
Okay, thank you. We can't hear you. Try to unmute. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and move on. We will now vote on approving the agenda with flexibility. Please look at the left side of your screen and vote either for or against. You will have 45 seconds to vote. Ten more seconds. All right, if we could have the results, please. We have 603 for and 5 against. The agenda has been approved. Thank you, everyone. Let's start with the elephant in the virtual room. I know many of us were looking forward to getting together to reunite and recharge in person. Count me among those who had these dates circled for Orlando for a long time and was fired up to have the reunion of a lifetime. That opportunity again was taken from us by COVID's relentlessness. ENA made the difficult decision to go virtual in large part because of what our members have seen and continue to see because of the Delta variant and lagging vaccination rates, and that's packed emergency departments. We came into 2021 with great hope. Things were looking up, but before this recent surge, but instead of seeing this fade out, we're left with increasing compassion fatigue and burnout. Now, we've been used to dealing with rough situations. Seeing bad things happen to people is nothing new to emergency department nurse. But typically we can leave the department and decompress away from work. This pandemic is different. This is not a work problem, it's a world problem. We cannot leave work and forget COVID because this pandemic is affecting every aspect of our lives. There's no escaping it. It's tough, but we are tougher. Clearly things aren't where we want them to be right now. Delivering this speech in a studio with just a few people in the room was not what I pictured I'd be doing for General Assembly. Yet, it provides an opportunity to rally around the strength that we have together. I found this quote from Steve Maraboli that sums it up perfectly. Your life isn't behind you. Your memories are behind you. Your life is always ahead of you. Today is a new day. Seize it. So we will. Just as Ena and ED nurses have been trying so damn hard to do this the last 2 years, each obstacle created opportunities to adapt, pivot, innovate, and grow. It's not been easy. Make no mistake about that. Ena has followed your lead because we need to be there for you. Helping lead the charge is our board of directors. Jen Schmitz, Terry Foster, Mike Hastings, Dustin Bass, Yope Brewer, Kristen Klein, Chris Dellinger, Stephen Jewell, Ryan Oglesby, Cheryl Randolph, ENA's CEO, Nancy McCrae, and our emerging professional liaison, Amy Purcelli. Whether this was your first year on the board or you've got 1 or 2 behind you, 2021 provided another challenge-filled year like few in their shoes have ever seen in ENA's 5 decades. But they responded, contributed mightily, and helped ensure our members' best interests were always in the forefront during this pandemic. I also give a special shout out to the board members whose terms are coming to an end. Let me thank all of you for your service and commitment on the board. Then there's my friend, immediate past president, Mike Hastings, who put the capital L on leadership in 2020 to help us all how to make a difference during a time when the answers were often so hard to find. You guided ENA, you listened to members, you pushed the board and your peers to help shape the association's direction. You've also done so much to help me in this role as ENA's second pandemic president. Everything you did last year provided me with a solid foundation for leading ENA in 2021. Thank you. The board, as well as ENA's senior leadership team, have been a privilege to work with. The level of integrity and willingness to push each other to improve the association and ourselves as leaders is amazing to watch. The bravery to go ahead and be vulnerable and be open to becoming better leaders and better people is truly remarkable and inspiring. Working with an openness that held each other accountable in all aspects of life, while reminding each other of our commitment to ENA and our profession, is very rewarding. We have elevated the bar high for future boards, and that only bodes well for our association, our profession, and our community as a whole. I am forever thankful to each one of you. So many others contribute to ENA's success and growth. Our state and chapter leaders, as well as our volunteer committee members, are major players in driving our mission as the premier association for emergency nurses in the world. Even with everything happening in your EDs and at home, your dedication and sacrifice to support ENA locally has not wavered. That is simply amazing. Thank you. And I cannot overlook the hardworking ENA staff at our headquarters. Wow, just wow. A lot of you don't have the opportunity to work with them, but they are simply an amazing group of people. So huge kudos to everyone there. The past 2 years have been trying for all of us, but this group has been very agile, pivoted to do great things as part of our huge support structure for our members and all ED nurses. They are true heroes behind the scenes, and I cannot thank you enough. It's the staff, the board, the local leaders, the volunteers, and all of you that are the reason ENA has been able to stay focused and actually even grow as our association in the middle of a global health crisis. Even as big as COVID is, ENA needed to continue to grow and adapt for you and to be ready to support you no matter what the next circumstances may face. Of course, it starts with education. And this is cool. Ena University has arrived as our new Center for Excellence for Emergency Nursing Education. For the first time, Ena has put nearly everything, courses, resources, and more from our robust educational portfolio all in one place on a dynamic new platform. But it's much bigger than that. The new pathway programs are a cornerstone for you supporting nurses' career development, no matter their experience level. The Industry Learning Lab brings unique learning opportunities from ENA's strategic partners direct to our members. Our residency program, mentoring, events, and peer engagement are all part of what Ena University has to offer. I'm just scratching the surface here, so I encourage you to visit ena.org/ENAU or pick up your phone, scan that little code on your screen. Go ahead, do it, to learn more about Ena University. And be on the lookout for the debut of the first 2 pathways launching very soon. Education is the core of everything ENA does, but having your back means so much more, as we've seen throughout the pandemic. It's also about where you work and how ENA can promote a healthy work environment for emergency nurses. While ENA has always been active in this through various partnerships, courses, programs, and support of key legislation, the emphasis around creating a more cohesive, comprehensive roadmap to improve the work environment of emergency nurses took root this year as one of the association's strategic goals. We're focused on how to support individual nurses' wellness so they are better able to care for themselves. We want to help emergency nurse leaders create and support a healthy culture in the emergency department. And when we want to leverage advocacy and awareness building efforts to create a broader changes in the healthcare system as a whole. All that works together in the way that improves what we experience every day, and in turn, further strengthens our ability to provide the highest quality patient care. We're also listening to our members to know what they need. The quarterly virtual town halls have provided an outlet for members to connect with me and others in the association about what they're experiencing and how ENA can best provide resources and support. Our next town hall is actually this afternoon at 2 p.m. Central. So if you haven't joined in the past, I encourage you to just join in at 2 p.m. Central. The town halls are one way members can have their voices heard. ENA's advocacy efforts provide an avenue to amplify all our voices on the issues that matter most to all ED nurses. Throughout the pandemic, our government relations team has worked at the federal level to make sure we are part of the conversation on the importance of, among other things, PPE availability, safe work conditions, and the overall health of emergency nurses who have been there so much during this pandemic. It still moves me to think about Senator Tim Kaine's appearance at Day Off the Hill. That was certainly moving, and it was touching to everybody who got to see that. As he discussed the Dr. Lorna Breen Provider Protection Act. This act is designed to give you and all healthcare workers the access to resources that are absolutely critical to your mental health and well-being. When we say you're not alone to manage the worst of what this pandemic is throwing at you, it's because government relations team and an army of emergency nursing advocates are making your concerns known to federal and state legislators. ENA has your back in other ways that have become more prominent in this pandemic. Renewal discounts and flexible payment options help make an ENA membership fit your situation no matter what it is. And the accompanying benefits, including programs with our partners that have offered financial savings on student loan debt and tuition discounts to continue education, have never been stronger. The same could be said for the strength of ENA's foundation impact on our members. The COVID-19 Relief Fund, which provided financial assistance to 470 members in need since the middle of 2020, is an indicator of ENA's ability to find quick and effective ways to help our members in ways they need and most given the circumstances they face. Looking at the bigger picture, the foundation in 2021 has reached new heights thanks to the generosity of members and non-member donors. The Ian Strong Challenge collected an amazing $440,000 earlier this year. Hey guys, that's just shy of $500,000. That is absolutely amazing. That record-setting amount blew away goals and set stages for the foundation to help even more members attend conferences, pursue research opportunities, and further their education with scholarships. Foundation Chairperson Sally Snow, hi Sally, as well as our foundation trustees and staff deserve tremendous credit for this outstanding mobilization of supporters to make so much happen during the foundation's 30th anniversary year. You can help the foundation's momentum going by bidding in its virtual silent auction that wraps up on 4 p.m. Central Time this Friday. There are a ton of great items out there. I know I've been bidding on stuff and people have been outbidding me, so I'm competitive. I'm still going to win, so keep bidding me up, whoever you guys are on the wine basket. Anyway, scan your QR code on the screen to see what catches your eye. All proceeds go to benefit the foundation. To shift gears before I wrap up, let's talk Ena Finances. Having stood before General Assembly to deliver the association financial report a couple years back, I know it's not the thing everyone is waiting to hear about, but it's still important to paint an overall picture about ENA's financial health. Included in your GA materials is the 2020 audited financial statements for ENA and the ENA Foundation. Similar to last year, ENA received an unqualified opinion, which is the highest opinion that can be issued. Looking at 2020, it was a challenging year with COVID impacting ENA revenue streams starting in March. ENA finished 2020 stronger than expected, which put us in a position to budget for 2021 based on the idea of returning to 2019 levels. However, COVID continues to create challenges, so we're once again adjusting the goal of putting ENA in a strong position to finish 2021. I said it in 2019 that we good. Well, in 2021, we still good. This is a small glimpse into everything ENA has done in 2021. It's been a year of forward progress despite COVID, all the stuff that COVID has thrown at us. Just as ENA has grown as an association during this time, we as individuals also need to continue to grow. This pandemic has tested us spiritually, mentally, and physically. It has made us think of new ways to deliver care. It has pushed us to the brink. And just when we think we see the light getting brighter at the end of the tunnel seems to take a turn. And that light dims in the distance. This is incredibly frustrating, disheartening, and wears us down. However, when the light dims is exactly when we must keep focused on the fact that even though the light is distant, it's still there. Give me a second. Let me remind you of the challenge I put to everyone beginning of my term. Does everyone remember the word elevate? I challenged all of us to elevate our profession, our specialty, our community to make things better. However, most important right now is we need to elevate each other. We need to lean on one another because the only people who truly get what ED nurses go through is another ED nurse. So take the time to reach out to your colleagues and ask them how they're doing. Be brave and vulnerable yourself. Share your own feelings and frustrations with others because it will help you and it also will help them to open up and share. It's a win-win. And it's a step we can all take to ensure the pandemic does not defeat us. We all have a calling and a duty to be a nurse. It's our purpose. We cannot let this pandemic rob us of our purpose. It is not easy, but it's an imperative. We, together, find a way to win the day for ourselves, our patients, and everyone who look up to us. To close out, I'd like to announce my selection for the 2021 President's Award. Earlier, I mentioned some great teams that have helped me through this year, but I need to recognize one team that is truly amazing. It's a team that motivates me, supports me, humbles me, pushes me to see different perspectives and challenges each other to be better. A team that inspires me, makes me cry, makes me laugh, and a team that makes me, me. And that team is Team Kraus. The roster includes my wife, Jenny, my kiddos, Joshua and Emma. My family is amazing, and they do all the things I mentioned earlier, including making me cry. Yes, I'm the biggest crier on the team. We need a team that we can ride out with all the emotions, and I have that for sure. One of the things I'm proudest of this is the two younger members of the team, of Team Kraus, and that's Josh and Emma, or as I call them, Augie and Emster. Thank you for being understanding of me missing some of your events, being away from home for days, for taking calls or lately Zoom meetings on what would usually be our time. This was a sacrifice for you due to my passion for my profession. You both are amazing kids, and I cannot wait to see what you will achieve and what your passion will be. The world is yours. I love you. To Jenny, my co-coach, thank you for continued support of me working in a profession so much different than yours. She's in finance where things are black and white and planned out. Yeah, definitely not the ED. Even with the differences in our careers, you are not quite getting me sometimes because I'm part of a weird breed of ED nurses. You always have been supportive of me in my failures and celebrated my successes. So thank you for being an awesome co-coach to one amazing team, and that's Team Kraus. I would like to present the President's Award to my family, Team Kraus, Jenny, Josh, and Emma. Thank you, and I love you. With all that, thank you to ENA and every member for allowing me to serve as your president in 2021. I cannot wait to see where we will go in the future. So stay safe, stay positive, and be the good.
Ron, I know you are fond of quotes, especially as they relate to leadership. So here's one I want to share with you as we reflect on your year. The pessimist complains about the wind, The optimist expects it to change. The leader adjusts the sails. Ron, you've done a remarkable job as ENA's leader this year, adjusting our sails throughout a year that started with such optimism that the world might be moving closer to turning the corner to end this relentless pandemic. But even though that end now remains elusive, your enthusiasm and passion for ENA and emergency nursing has provided a steady hand of leadership to the organization and to the board, as well as for all our members who continue to look to ENA for support amid these turbulent times. You've shown thoughtfulness and understanding in your outreach to our members who face the challenges of COVID, natural disasters, and their own difficult moments. You've been a compassionate leader to the board and staff while we navigate these uncharted waters. You've been a strong, vocal advocate who told our story to the media, legislators, and our partners. And through it all, you have exemplified a poised, engaged approach that has helped all of us navigate the challenges before us. In 2021, as ENA's 50th president, you served our members and the emergency nursing community so honorably. For that, I, and on behalf of all the ENA staff, offer you our sincere appreciation and gratitude. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Nancy. Now it's time to switch gears. It's time to open the reference hearings. Delegates, past presidents, and alternate delegates can use the quick terms to enter their intent to speak in the chat box. Be sure to hit the gold send icon to send your message into the queue. The chair will announce the order in which delegates speak. When you are called upon, raise your Zoom hand. The raise hand icon, again, is located in the Participants tab. Please raise your hand so that the production staff can enable your microphone and camera rights. Once the production staff has enabled your microphone and camera rights, you may start your video if you wish. Unmute your microphone and begin speaking. Once your turn to speak is over or your time has run out, the production team will mute your microphone and disable your video. As always, please state your name, provide the name of your state council, or indicate if you're speaking on behalf of yourself. I know we'll all get the hang of this pretty quickly, but if you run into issues, again, check the landing page on the left side of your screen to live chat for technical support. We got you. At this time, I'd like to recognize my buddy, Dan Misa, chairperson of the Resolutions Committee, who will be facilitating the open reference hearings. Take it away, Dan.
Thanks, Ron, and good morning, everyone. First, I am pleased to introduce the members of the Resolutions Committee who are assisting with the reference hearings today virtually. Todd Haynes, India Owens, Chris Parker, Gina Slobodian, and Cody Staub. I would also like to recognize our board liaison, 2021 ENA President-elect, Jennifer Schmitz, as well as ENA staff liaison, Sarah McNulty. Thank you all for a wonderful year on this committee. The open reference hearing is an opportunity to discuss the proposed amended bylaws and resolution proposals submitted for consideration at this General Assembly. Please take this opportunity to voice your input on the proposals. The Resolutions Committee will discuss the feedback shared and determine recommendations and potential amendments to each proposal to be presented this afternoon to the General Assembly. For tomorrow, for consideration on Wednesday. The committee will also determine any proposals for inclusion on the consent agenda. The Resolutions Committee thanks all authors for their submissions, and we look forward to a healthy and professional debate. At this time, we will begin proposal GA 21-01, proposal to amend the ENA bylaws term limits, authored by the ENA Board of Directors. The chair recognizes Mike Hastings, who will have 1 minute to make an opening statement.
Thanks, Dan. As identified in their strategic plan, ENA strives to employ best practices in leadership and governance. The board is committed to building upon the work of the Leadership Development Task Force to ensure we remain focused on opportunities to enhance our governance structure, to ensure best practices are in place. Key to this is the consistent focus on leadership selection and development. The board authored 3 separate bylaw amendments for consideration at the 2021 General Assembly, the first of which is term limits. It is considered best practice to institute term limits for board service. Term limits encourage increased opportunity for diversity and inclusion and leadership, and allowing for new ideas and perspectives on the board and within the decision making. ENA will employ staggered terms as a part of our term limits to enable the board to ensure a balance of continuity while avoiding stagnation that can occur with long terms of service. The board looks forward to hearing the discussion today.
Thank you, Mike. The floor is now open for 10 minutes of discussion on Proposal 21-01. Once you are called upon to speak, please raise your hand in Zoom to be given audio and camera rights. Each speaker is limited to 1 minute. For those gathered in a group, please mute all devices except for the one in use by the recognized speaker. Is there any discussion? Remember, if you would like to speak, you must enter the queue. I believe we have a speaker on the queue. The chair recognizes Nicholas Chmielewski. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted. And next is Heidi Gilbert. So please raise your hand in Zoom also so we can call on you next.
Sorry, I tried to remove myself. Please disregard.
Thank you, Nick. The chair next recognizes Heidi Gilbert. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted.
Hey, I don't know how to raise my hand.
There was some feedback there, Heidi. If you're in a group, just make sure that everyone else's speakers are on mute.
The host has me muted. Guys, you gotta unmute me. Oh, hey, can you hear me?
Yes, Heidi, go ahead.
We've got that turned off now, so I'm here. Am I allowed to speak now?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hi, I love the idea of this in theory, the 6-year term to get some new voices and some different perspectives. I would like to make a slight change that it be 6-year consecutive term break. I know that we have several amazing ENA members that are lifetime members and may be very active for 30 or 40 years. And I think that, someone may want to be on the board early in their career and maybe 10, 20 years later revisit that opportunity. So I would like to just see it changed from no more than 6 years to no more 6 consecutive years.
Thank you. Next, the chair recognizes Barbara Maliszewski. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted. Barbara,
does appear to be unmuted, but unfortunately we cannot hear her.
Thank you. Okay, unfortunately, we will then move on. Is there any further discussion for this proposal? Hearing none, we will continue on to proposal GA 21-02, proposal to amend the ENA bylaws, minimum term for unfilled vacancies, authored by the ENA Board of Directors. Mike Hastings, once again, will have 1 minute to make an opening statement. The chair recognizes Mike Hastings.
Thank you, Dan. In alignment with our desire to ensure best practices in leadership and governance, this amendment recommends the elimination of board terms of less than 12 months. ENA invests heavily in onboarding of our new board members to ensure strength of leadership and cohesive team dynamics for optimal board performance. It typically takes at least 1 full year for a new board member to fully develop into their role. A 1-year term does not provide the new director with the time necessary to achieve their full potential or for ENA to have the ability to maximize the resources invested. By filling only those vacancies with more than 12 months remaining in the term, the newly appointed board member is afforded the best chance to succeed while maximizing ENA's valuable resources and the efficiency and functionality of the board. The board looks forward to the discussion today.
Thank you, Mike. The floor is now open for 10 minutes of discussion on proposal 21-02. Once again, once called upon to speak, please raise your hand in Zoom to be given audio and camera rights. Each speaker is limited to 1 minute. Remember to enter the speaking queue if you would like to speak on the proposal. The chair recognizes Joanne Navaroli. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted.
Joanne, it seems like you are unmuted, but your microphone is not connected. So if you would want to check the padlock in your address bar and make sure you're giving permission to the browser to use your microphone.
Joanne, we'll give you a few more seconds here to see if we can get you on the mic there. At this point, there are no other speakers in the queue. And Joanne, if you still wanted to try to fix your microphone, we can allow that. Once again, if anyone would like to speak to this proposal, please enter your name into the speaking queue. All right, next, the chair will recognize Adam Johnson. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted.
This is Johnston from North Dakota. Not sure if you can, but if so, I would just like to share some amendment proposal. It's complicated to look at wording changes, but ultimately, in recent years, that this has been an issue where somebody. Yes. How about now?
It's a little better. You can continue. Adam, are you still there? Make sure you unmute. Adam, make sure your microphone is unmuted. All right, we'll see about coming back to Adam. Next, the chair recognizes Lena Such. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted. Lena, make sure you have raised your hand in Zoom.
Lena's mic is unmuted. Is may not be connected to her browser. So if Lena, if you just want to again go to that padlock and make sure you are giving your browser permission to use your microphone.
We'll give you a few more moments there, Lena.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Go ahead, Lena.
Hi, I actually had my hand raised for GA 21-02. I think we've moved on to 03. I don't know if I'm still able to speak to it.
We're still on number 2, Lena. Go ahead. You can discuss number 2.
Okay. So my name is Lena Such. I'm speaking on behalf of Maryland ENA. We are in favor of GA 21-02 with changes. We were hesitant at first, but we decided that we agreed with the idea of the resolve clauses, but not the timeline. Our suggestion for this resolution is to change line A and B to fill vacancies with more than 3 months left in term rather than 12 months. This will give the nominee who is not elected a great opportunity to take part in a bigger picture of ENA, even if it's filling the vacancy for just a portion of the year, and it will allow them to get experience and see if that is something they want to go further with.
Thank you, Lena. Is there anyone else on the speaker queue? There is no one else in the speaking queue at this time. I would offer Adam Johnston, if you would like to come back in, try to attempt to speak once more. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted. Adam, are you there?
I believe so.
Much better. Go ahead.
All right, so this is Adam Johnston from North Dakota. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. Just want to verbalize a few words of support for GA 21-02. This bylaws amendment ultimately is aligned with best practices and is, in my opinion, the right direction for the organization. We've seen in recent years situations where ENA has invested the time and effort in a board director on the board who only had the opportunity to be on for 1 year at that time, and ultimately to use our organization's resources best. I'd encourage everyone to support this proposal, and I think that this is the correct way for ENA to move in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Is there any further discussion on this proposal, GA 21-02? If you would like to speak, just remember to enter your name in the speaking queue. Hearing none, we will move on. Proposal GA 20. Oh, we have two more people in the speaking queue. The chair recognizes Chelsea Collins. Followed by Ellen Ruja.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Collins. I'm speaking on behalf of of myself from Colorado. I agree and echo what Adam just stated. As somebody who has been on a conference committee or a national committee before, it takes a long time to kind of even just get your bearings. And I think that a year for the board of directors is a reasonable expectation. And I don't know that a board of director member would get as much out of that time. And so I think that this is something that we should definitely do to make sure that we're being not only fiscally responsible, but putting our efforts in appropriate places. Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea. Chair recognizes Ellen Ruja. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted.
Okay. Hi, this is Ellen Ruja on behalf of South Carolina Emergency Nurses Association. I'm sorry, I went to do O2, but O3, we are not in support of this, eliminating the right for us to vote for the
Ellen,
committee
we are on
members.
we're on still number 2.
Oh, perfect. That's what I want to talk to. Okay, we are, again, against O2, the way it's written. We do like, several of us do like the selection of making sure that the vacancy is not left unfilled. How about not maybe one of the board of directors that left the board? Why can't they come back in so that there isn't a vacancy? We're so concerned about putting someone in for a year, less than a year, and not knowing what to do. So why can't we have one of the ex-board of directors come back and fulfill the rest of that year, whatever, how many months it is? Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. At this time, the time for discussion has expired. We will move on to proposal GA 21-03. Proposals to amend bylaws structure of the Nominations and Elections Committee, authored by the ENA Board of Directors. Once again, the chair recognizes Mike Hastings to make an opening statement for 1 minute.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So the final bylaw amendment is focused on the structure of the NEC and recommends an appointment process versus the current election process. The goal is to eliminate the conflict of interest inherent with a committee managing its own election. When committee members are running for re-elections, they are forced to recuse themselves from the work of the committee. It can be difficult for the committee to conduct their work when members cannot fully participate, leaving the committee without the important perspective and contributions of all members. The proposed amendment also clearly defines the focus of the NEC on candidates' recruitment, selection, and development. The NEC will have the authority to formally vet candidates in order to present a slate of qualified candidates to the ENA Board of Directors for its review and approval, and then present to membership for final approval. Should this bylaw amendment pass, it would be implemented in partnership with the current NEC, and then the appointment process would be shared with the membership. The appointment process would utilize best practices to ensure a diverse group of qualified members that are selected to serve. Again, the ENA board looks forward to hearing the discussion today. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. The floor is now open for 10 minutes of discussion on proposal 21-03. Once you are called upon to speak, please raise your hand in Zoom to be given audio and camera rights. Each speaker is limited to 1 minute. At this time, the chair recognizes Ann Mann. Carla Brim, you are up next. And just make sure your hand is raised in Zoom and unmute when you're prompted to do so.
Okay, I unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ann, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. I would like to speak con here. I cannot tell you strongly enough how I think it is always a mistake to take votes away from the membership. I understand the problem of people not being able to participate fully if they're running for re-election. However, I think that this is a sledgehammer approach to solving the problem. There are many other ways that the problem can be addressed. I absolutely agree with the job description, if you will, of the committee. But I would suggest that because that was the original intent, but it has never been fully developed. The reason there are 6 regions is so that the people in those regions, the nominations and election committee members in that region, can visit the people in their region, can identify up and coming people, can identify and vet and mentor people in their areas. I think that there are dangers in this board being appointed as opposed to having the electorate make the decision as to who they want to represent them.
Thank you, Ann. Time has expired. Just a reminder to delegates and past presidents who wish to enter the speaking queue and once recognized, the raise your hand button is at the bottom of the Zoom screen there. So just make sure to locate that button. Next, the chair will recognize Carla Brim and followed by Roseanne Mone. So if both of you would raise your hands, and then Carla, once prompted, please unmute your microphone.
Good morning. This is Carla Brim from Washington State, and I am speaking against this resolution change or this change. I feel I sort of am echoing what Ann just said, is that I feel it's very important to let the electorate pick their elections committee. I understand that there could potentially be a conflict of while others are running for re-election. However, I think that should be handled in an operational manner rather than taking away votes from our members. I think it's super important to allow voices of the membership to pick people. I have seen over the many years where people have
Carla, you were breaking up there. All right, we will move on. Thank you, Carla. Next, the chair recognizes Roseanne Mone. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted. Jennifer Williams Cook, you are to follow next. Please raise your hand also. Roseanne, are you there? Heard something there. All right, we'll keep going. At this time, the chair recognizes Jennifer Williams Cook. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted. Michael Moon, you're next to follow.
Oh my God. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Jennifer Williams Cook from Mississippi, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Mississippi State Council. We are against this proposal just in the fact that it doesn't allow for people that may be on the outskirts of an intergroup to participate. We're a large organization, And unless you're part of that inner circle, how do you let people know that you're interested in participating in it? And I think with people being able to nominate or, apply themselves, it creates a more diverse group, and brings in that freshness to the group.
Thank you, Jennifer. And just a reminder also, if you're not in the speaking queue or you're not recognized, please do not raise your hand in Zoom. Only raise your hand when called upon by the chair. At this time, the chair recognizes Michael Moon. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted to do so. Matt Powers, you are also next, so please raise your hand also.
I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty when I open up the participant list, it freezes. So my apologies for not raising my hand. Michael Moon from the state of Texas, speaking on behalf of myself. I'm supportive of the idea of the issue that we're facing. I just, for my purposes, if the board is appointing the committee, or the president is basically appointing the committee, I do recommend that we maintain regionality like we have now. And I know the whole board would approve the committee. I just really think that there should be separation between members of the board and the committee, because our elections are something that are critical for us to make sure that it's impartial and we don't provide any undue influence. So therefore, I would actually recommend that the immediate past president not be part of that. A member of the committee can still be a former board member, and if we need to put stipulations on how long ago that person should have served, then I think that would probably be a better choice. I just would not recommend having someone that's actively on the board be on that committee.
Thank you, Mike. Next up, the chair recognizes Matt Powers, followed by Margaret Letitia. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted.
All right, good morning, everyone. Matt Powers, Chair of the Nominations and Elections Committee currently, and speaking on behalf of the Nominations and Elections Committee. So it does say that it's appointed by the Board of Directors. We just want some clarity in the suggestion that it will talk about, that there will be a call for applicants, that it can't just be singly just appointed, and that there is some sort of process to become on the committee before appointed by the Board of Directors. In reference to the conflict of interest of Nominations Elections Committee being on the committee and not serving to assist those applying for those positions, the Nominations Elections Committee is also recommending, to avoid that conflict, that all members serve one single 3-year term, and that way they are not eligible for re-election one time. So good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Next, the chair recognizes Margaret Letitia, followed by Carol Anderson. Please both raise your hands in Zoom, and Marge, when you are prompted to, please unmute. All right, we will continue.
David, this is March.
Hi, Marge.
Okay, finally
Go
figured
ahead.
it out. Okay, Dan, sorry. I just have some questions on this resolution. Since I have been on the committee, when would be the time frame that this would start being worked on? Also, how does this affect the people that are on the committee that were elected to this committee? And as Matt had so said, what I had found when we were elected in the 6 regions, my opinion, when we be working together as a New Englander, I think everybody thinks like a New Englander, and I would find people from other parts of the country had a different idea that it was like, oh, that helped me out. But if if it's a call, is it like for the volunteers, opportunities? Would it be that it'd be a diverse group from around the country? So there's some semantics in this. I understand the reason for it, but I think the semantics have not been spelled out for me to make a vote on it. Thank you.
To answer that question, the chair will recognize Mike Hastings to answer the question.
Yeah, thanks guys for the discussion off this. Yeah, so from operational wise, right, all those details still have to be figured out, all transparency, right? So what we envision though is really is doing very kind of similar to what we have now. We want to make sure that there's a diverse voice and that everybody's represented and through the process, right? So it's going to be clear, it's going to be transparent. There's nothing going to be hidden. There's no hidden agendas around it. And so we will be working with the NEC if this moves forward to really figure out operational wise how we do that. Again, it's all going to be transparent. There's nothing going to be hidden off of that. So we hear what you're saying, and trust us, we want to make sure that you know, your concerns are addressed as we move forward with this.
Thank you, Mike. Time has expired for discussion and speakers remain in the queue. The question is on extension of discussion for an additional 5 minutes. Those in favor of extending for 5 minutes, please vote yes. Those opposed, please vote no. And please vote now. This vote requires a 2/3 majority to approve. Okay, let's see the results. "54% voted for, 45% voted against. The motion is not approved. So discussion has expired. We will move on to proposal GA 21-04, Federal Nurse Practice Act and Licensing in the USA. Authored by Jessica Kastner, Jamla Rizk, and the New York State Council. The chair recognizes Jamla Rizk to have 1 minute to make an opening statement. Please raise your hand in Zoom to be recognized and unmute when prompted. Jamla, your mic is unmuted. But we can't hear you. Jamla, are you there? Stand by, please.
Jamal, this is Adam with Lumi. It looks like your mic is unmuted, but it may not be connected to your browser. So if you would like to go to that padlock up in the address bar and make sure you are giving your microphone, your browser permission to access your microphone. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. So Jamila, just if you could try to sort that out. Give it a few more moments here. And we appreciate everyone's patience through all this. Is there another author available besides Jamla, either Jessica? If not, we can temporarily move on, but we will stand by. Make sure you raise your hand to be recognized. Whether it's Jessica or someone from the New York State Council. Anybody. All right. Be a good time if you want to stretch out a little bit too. Feel free to do so. We have a break coming up real soon. Thank you for your patience with all of this for our second virtual General Assembly. At this point, while we figure this out in terms of having the authors available to speak, we will move on then, and we'll come back to this proposal. Proposal GA 21-05, entitled CATN, Course in Advanced Trauma Nursing in the Classroom, authored by Eric Christensen, Christopher Frangmeyer, and Casey Ziegler, Amy Boren, and Mick Archuleta. The chair recognizes Eric Christensen. You will have 1 minute to make an opening statement. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted. Eric, just make sure you raise your hand. Click that raise hand button there. And then you'll get a prompt to unmute.
Eric, this is Anna with Lumi. It looks like you are unmuted, but again, there's no audio coming from your microphone. So if you just want to check that padlock in the address bar and make sure you're giving your browser permission to use your microphone, and hopefully that will solve the problem.
All right, Eric, we'll give that a few more moments there. See if we can get you live here. stand by, please. Okay, at this time, if any of the other authors are also available to speak to the proposal, you can raise your.
You're on, Chris?
Eric, is that you?
Is that you? I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Eric. We can hear you.
Thank you for the opportunity to
Eric?
present this resolution. Catton that covered in-depth pathophysiology and truly helped ED nurses why behind what they were doing. We think the opportunity to enhance the education for our seasoned ED nurses under the scope of ENA. Proposal, our resolve clause specified an in-person learning opportunity. It was recommended to amend this to interactive. This does allow for the option of involving a virtual classroom. Although we did accept this recommendation, in hindsight, we should have pushed for stronger language stating that this would be taught as an instructor-led course. We did not intend for this to be virtual. Only intent may be clear. Implementation may not look as forward to hearing your thoughts and comments. Thank you, dear speaker. Thank you, dear speaker.
Thank you, Eric. The floor is now open for 10 minutes of discussion on Proposal 21-05. Once you are called upon to speak, please raise your hand in Zoom to be given audio and camera rights. Each speaker is limited to 1 minute. For those gathered in a group, please mute all devices except for the one in use by the recognized speaker. At this time, the chair recognizes Karen Kettner, followed by Laura Gallagher. Please raise your hands in Zoom and unmute when prompted.
Good morning. Are you able to hear me?
Good morning, yes. We can hear you, go
Okay.
ahead.
In Washington State, we have two options for trauma centers: to maintain TNCC or to have additional extra trauma education. I would really support having this as an interactive class available for all nurses who have done TNCC to give them that needed advanced learning they need to take care of trauma patients so they don't have to keep taking TNCC again and again and again.
Thank you. And just a reminder to speakers to please state your name and your affiliation and whether you're speaking on behalf of yourself or your state council. At this time, the chair recognizes Laura Gallagher, followed by Sally Snow. Please raise your hands in Zoom and unmute when prompted to do so.
Laura, look, appears that your mic is unmuted. Again, you may just want to check your address bar and the padlock there and make sure you're giving your browser permission to use your microphone.
Thank you, Adam. Laura, we'll give you a few more moments there, otherwise we will move on. All right. We will move on then to Sally Snow, followed by Cynthia Wright. Please raise your hands in Zoom and unmute when prompted. And just as a reminder, it may be helpful to disable your video and only enable it when speaking.
Hi, Daniel, it's Sally. I'm sorry, I just wanted to make a case for having people please turn enough bandwidth for everyone to be on video, and we're having real difficulty with the audio.
Okay, thank you, Sally. The chair recognizes Cynthia Wright. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted to do so. Jean Prayer will be next up to speak. So you can also raise your hand.
So Cynthia, it appears that you are unmuted. There you go. Sounds like we got some audio from you.
Cynthia, are you there?
Hello?
Hello. Cynthia, can you hear us?
This is Cynthia Wright Johnson. You can hear me. The main screen on Zoom is frozen. I will attempt. My name is Cynthia Wright Johnson. I'm speaking in support of this GA21 ENA Council. Maryland has 11 designated trauma and 2 pediatric, and we have 49 emergency departments that include 5 freestanding. A TNCC course has and is ideal for novice nurses or nurses who are new to emergency departments. In the past, they has been offered in subsequent years for the competent to expert nurse, with excellent feedback. Maryland ENA strongly supports the revision and reinstatement of an in-person CAT-N course to provide ongoing education for all of the emergency departments to ensure a, quote, trauma-ready network for hospitals across the country. Currently, Maryland trauma centers and their trauma network are importing TCAR for both their ED and ICU nurses, as well as encouraging the ATCN course. Neither of these courses are accessible to our other 38 emergency departments.
Okay, thank you so much. Time has expired on speaking on the topic for you, Cynthia. Moving on, the chair recognizes Jean Prail, followed by Maureen O'Reilly-Cregan. Please raise your hands in Zoom and unmute when prompted.
Hello, this is Jean Prail, ENA past president, speaking on behalf of myself.
Go ahead. We hear you, Jean.
I can't. Okay, thank you. I am in support of this resolution, as obviously I signed on, but I would like to echo Eric's statement that we wish we had kept the instructor-led component in the resolution. I think interactive learning via computer is great, but it can never achieve what you can achieve with real live human interaction. And so I think there could be a hybrid version. Maybe not all of it needs to be human-led, but there needs to be definitely an instructor-led component.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Maureen O'Reilly-Cregan, followed by Adam Johnston. Please raise your hands in Zoom and unmute when prompted. Maureen, are you there?
Good morning. I'm speaking
Maureen O'Reilly Cregan from Arizona State Council Delegation on behalf of myself. I was going to say exactly what Jean Prale has mentioned. The ability to know your pathophysiology allows better critical care direction and critical thinking for safer patient care. The in-person allows the faculty member to see the question that the attendee may not be wishing to verbalize. And although components could be interactive, the in-person component and reactivation of this program is really important. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Adam Johnston, followed by Karen Kettner. Please raise your hands in Zoom and unmute when prompted.
Hi, this is Adam Johnston speaking on behalf of this North Dakota State Council. When our delegation met to discuss this resolution, we had a question and we were hoping that there would be maybe somebody from ENA staff or somebody else who would be able to speak to this. In order to decide whether we were in support or against this proposal, are just requesting a little bit more of the background information about what the process looked like moving to the current version of this course, why that decision was made to move to the way that it is in current state. That would be really helpful from our perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. And at this time, the time for discussion for this proposal has expired and speakers remain in the queue. What is in order now is to take a vote on whether to extend the discussion for another 5 minutes. Those in favor of extending an additional 5 minutes, please vote in favor and for, if not against. Please vote now. And it requires a 2/3 vote to approve. Let's see the results. "45% voted for, 54% voted against. The motion is not agreed to. And at this time, we are about almost halfway there. Thank you to everyone for making this move as smoothly as we can this morning. We're going to take a 30-minute break now, and I'm going to move it on to Ron Kraus.
Thanks, Dane. Just going to adjust a little bit here. What we're going to do is we're going to take a little break. We're going to spend, like, I think, 10 minutes, and we're going to replay the 20 minutes. 30 minutes, I'm being told off of cue here. You guys should see this. This is crazy. Like, all these people talking and got text going and signs and stuff. Anyway, we're going to take 30 minutes.
At home, you will be required to use either a laptop computer or a desktop computer with speakers and a microphone. It is recommended to use Google Chrome if possible, but these other web browsers are also supported. New Microsoft Edge, also known as Chromium, and Firefox. It is also recommended to update to the newest versions of these browsers for the best experience. For virtual attendees, mobile devices including iPhones, Androids, iPads, and other tablets are not supported. The web browsers Safari, Legacy Edge, and Internet Explorer are also not supported. If you will be attending the meeting on-site and in person, you will simply need an Internet-enabled device to cast your vote and join the speaker queue. You may use a mobile phone, iPhone, iPad, tablet, or any other device that has a web browser and can access the Internet. To join the virtual meeting, click on the link you will receive from your event organizer. If you're a voting delegate, click on the I am a voting delegate or I have a login button and click Continue. Log in by typing your username in the top field, the password in the bottom field, and then click Login to log in to the platform. If you are a guest or observer only, click on the I am a guest or I am an observer button and click Continue. Enter your name and email address, then click Continue to log into the platform. No credentials are required. Please note, if your organization isn't allowing guest access through the platform, you will only be prompted to enter your username and password. If you're having trouble logging in or do not know your assigned username and password, you can click the Having Trouble Logging In text or caret to see the information to receive technical support from your organization. Once logged into the virtual meeting platform, and if you are attending the meeting on site and in person, you will listen to the meeting on stage and in front of the room. If you are temporarily prompted to join the Zoom meeting, please do not connect to the Zoom meeting. If you are a virtual attendee at home, there are 2 additional steps you must take in order to connect to the Zoom meeting inside the platform so that you can listen to the meeting remotely. Please note this is a little different than just joining a normal Zoom meeting from your web browser. Step 1 is to click Allow from the white pop-up box in the left side of your screen. This will give your browser permission to use your camera and microphone, should you wish to speak from the floor during the virtual meeting. You will only see this pop up the first time you log in. Step 2 is to click the blue Join button from the Zoom panel on the right side of the screen to listen to the meeting proceedings. You will then see and hear the meeting in the Zoom panel. Now that everyone is logged into the virtual meeting platform and ready to participate in the meeting, let's review the virtual platform layout. Virtual attendees at home on a laptop or desktop computer will have a split screen view with 2 panels. The right panel of the platform is the Zoom panel where virtual attendees will listen to the meeting, see the presentations, and watch any videos or speakers. The left panel of the platform is the Lumi side with various modules available to you. There is also a menu on the left side of the screen confirming your login details. In-person attendees likely will not have the Zoom panel and will only have the Lumi panel with various modules. Once again, if you do see the Zoom panel, please do not connect to the Zoom meeting. Please watch the meeting live in front of the room. The main screen is the home page. It will have some instructions on how to use the virtual platform, how to contact technical support, and may also have links to handouts and reports. There may be resource documents in the virtual platform as well. To view the documents, click on the document icon located in the top bar. If you're on a mobile device, you may need to click on the arrow button to scroll through the top menu to find the documents icon. Then select the document you would like to view. You may download it for viewing later outside of the platform. Once you are finished reading the document, simply click on the X icon to close the document or the home icon to go back to the home page. Speaking during the virtual meeting is a multi-step process, as you will need to enter a speaker queue first before being recognized to speak. Step 1 for all virtual and in-person attendees is to join the speaker queue. To join the queue, click the messaging icon in the top menu bar. Type in what you would like to speak about in the text box at the top of the screen. You will see a legend of what action items are available that you should type in on your screen. After typing in your intention to speak, press the send arrow located to the right of your message and you will receive a quick confirmation message that says received. Please make sure you do type in your request to speak and that you see a received message at the bottom of your screen. You have now completed the first step and joined the speaker queue. Please wait for your turn to speak. Step 2 is to speak from a microphone. For in-person attendees, after being called upon by the chair, walk to a microphone in the room so that you may speak from the floor. For virtual attendees at home, after being called upon by the chair, raise your hand in Zoom. Once you have raised your hand in Zoom, you will receive a pop-up message from the host in the Zoom panel that will allow you to unmute your microphone. Click on the blue button that says Unmute, then announce yourself and begin speaking. Raising your hand in Zoom makes it easier for the production team to find you in the list of attendees and prompt you to unmute your microphone. To raise your hand in Zoom, look at the Zoom panel on the right side of the screen. Your Raise Hand button may be on the Zoom screen at the bottom. If it's not, then you will need to click the Participants button to open the participants list. The Raise Hand button is located at the bottom of the Participants panel. Finally, click the Raised Hand button to raise your hand. Please be aware, if you raise your hand in Zoom or walk to a microphone in the room but do not enter the speaker queue in the virtual platform by typing in your intention to speak, you will not be acknowledged. So please do not raise your hand in Zoom or approach a microphone in the room unless you are asked to do so by the chair. You can go back to the home page at any time by clicking the Home icon. The Lumi panel is also where you will vote. If you are an eligible voting delegate, when asked to vote, the ballot will automatically appear in the Lumi panel. To cast your vote, simply click on your choice and it will be highlighted. You will see a confirmation of your vote on your screen. To change your vote, simply make a new selection. You can change your vote as many times as required until the voting is closed. Once voting is closed, you will not be able to make another selection and only the last selection is counted. To cast your vote for a ballot when multiple selections are possible, click your choices and they will be highlighted. Once you have made the appropriate amount of selections, you must click the Send button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen to submit your vote. If you would like to change your vote, simply click the Cancel button and select your new choices. You can change your vote as many times as required until the voting is closed. Once voting is closed, you will not be able to make another selection and only the last selections are counted. Here are a few pro tips for virtual attendees at home using the virtual meeting platform on a laptop or desktop computer. Pro tip number 1. How to hide the left menu pane. You can click on the 3 lines or hamburger icon in the upper left-hand corner to hide the menu on the left and make the center of the virtual platform larger. Click on the hamburger icon again to bring the menu back out later if needed. Pro tip number 2. Maximize Zoom using the Maximize icon in the Zoom bar. The Zoom panel can be maximized by clicking on the Maximize icon in the right of the Zoom bar, as you can see here. With Zoom taking up your full screen, text and video will appear larger. To go back to a normal view, click the X in the right of the Zoom bar. This concludes the overview of the Lumi platform. We are looking forward to your successful virtual or hybrid meeting with your organization on the Lumi virtual platform. Welcome to an overview of the Lumi virtual meeting platform. To fully take part in the virtual meetings as a virtual attendee, such as participating at home, you will be required to use either a laptop computer or a desktop computer with speakers and a microphone. It is recommended to use Google Chrome if possible, but these other web browsers are also supported. New Microsoft Edge, also known as Chromium, and Firefox. It is also recommended to update to the newest versions of these browsers for the best experience. For virtual attendees, mobile devices including iPhones, Androids, iPads, and other tablets are not supported. The web browsers Safari, Legacy Edge, and Internet Explorer are also not supported. If you will be attending the meeting on-site and in person, you will simply need an Internet-enabled device to cast your vote and join the speaker queue. You may use a mobile phone, iPhone, iPad, tablet, or any other device that has a web browser and can access the Internet. To join the virtual meeting, click on the link you will receive from your event organizer. If you're a voting delegate, click on the I am a voting delegate or I have a login button and click Continue. Log in by typing your username in the top field, the password in the bottom field, and then click Login to log in to the platform. If you are a guest or observer only, click on the I am a guest or I am an observer button and click Continue. Enter your name and email address, then click Continue to log into the platform. No credentials are required. Please note, if your organization isn't allowing guest access through the platform, you will only be prompted to enter your username and password. If you're having trouble logging in or do not know your assigned username and password, you can click the Having Trouble Logging In text or caret to see the information to receive technical support from your organization. Once logged into the virtual meeting platform, and if you are attending the meeting on site and in person, you will listen to the meeting on stage and in front of the room. If you are temporarily prompted to join the Zoom meeting, please do not connect to the Zoom meeting. If you are a virtual attendee at home, there are 2 additional steps you must take in order to connect to the Zoom meeting inside the platform so that you can listen to the meeting remotely. Please note this is a little different than just joining a normal Zoom meeting from your web browser. Step 1 is to click Allow from the white pop-up box in the left side of your screen. This will give your browser permission to use your camera and microphone, should you wish to speak from the floor during the virtual meeting. You will only see this pop up the first time you log in. Step 2 is to click the blue Join button from the Zoom panel on the right side of the screen to listen to the meeting proceedings. You will then see and hear the meeting in the Zoom panel. Now that everyone is logged into the virtual meeting platform and ready to participate in the meeting, let's review the virtual platform layout. Virtual attendees at home on a laptop or desktop computer will have a split screen view with 2 panels. The right panel of the platform is the Zoom panel where virtual attendees will listen to the meeting, see the presentations, and watch any videos or speakers. The left panel of the platform is the Lumi side with various modules available to you. There is also a menu on the left side of the screen confirming your login details. In-person attendees likely will not have the Zoom panel and will only have the Lumi panel with various modules. Once again, if you do see the Zoom panel, please do not connect to the Zoom meeting. Please watch the meeting live in front of the room. The main screen is the home page. It will have some instructions on how to use the virtual platform, how to contact technical support, and may also have links to handouts and reports. There may be resource documents in the virtual platform as well. To view the documents, click on the document icon located in the top bar. If you're on a mobile device, you may need to click on the arrow button to scroll through the top menu to find the documents icon. Then select the document you would like to view. You may download it for viewing later outside of the platform. Once you are finished reading the document, simply click on the X icon to close the document or the home icon to go back to the home page. Speaking during the virtual meeting is a multi-step process, as you will need to enter a speaker queue first before being recognized to speak. Step 1 for all virtual and in-person attendees is to join the speaker queue. To join the queue, click the messaging icon in the top menu bar. Type in what you would like to speak about in the text box at the top of the screen. You will see a legend of what action items are available that you should type in on your screen. After typing in your intention to speak, press the send arrow located to the right of your message and you will receive a quick confirmation message that says received. Please make sure you do type in your request to speak and that you see a received message at the bottom of your screen. You have now completed the first step and joined the speaker queue. Please wait for your turn to speak. Step 2 is to speak from a microphone. For in-person attendees, after being called upon by the chair, walk to a microphone in the room so that you may speak from the floor. For virtual attendees at home, after being called upon by the chair, raise your hand in Zoom. Once you have raised your hand in Zoom, you will receive a pop-up message from the host in the Zoom panel that will allow you to unmute your microphone. Click on the blue button that says Unmute. then announce yourself and begin speaking. Raising your hand in Zoom makes it easier for the production team to find you in the list of attendees and prompt you to unmute your microphone. To raise your hand in Zoom, look at the Zoom panel on the right side of the screen. Your Raise Hand button may be on the Zoom screen at the bottom. If it's not, then you will need to click the Participants button to open the participants list. The Raise Hand button is located at the bottom of the Participants panel. Finally, click the Raised Hand button to raise your hand. Please be aware, if you raise your hand in Zoom or walk to a microphone in the room but do not enter the speaker queue in the virtual platform by typing in your intention to speak, you will not be acknowledged. So please do not raise your hand in Zoom or approach a microphone in the room unless you are asked to do so by the chair. You can go back to the home page at any time by clicking the Home icon. The Lumi panel is also where you will vote. If you are an eligible voting delegate, when asked to vote, the ballot will automatically appear in the Lumi panel. To cast your vote, simply click on your choice and it will be highlighted. You will see a confirmation of your vote on your screen. To change your vote, simply make a new selection. You can change your vote as many times as required until the voting is closed. Once voting is closed, you will not be able to make another selection and only the last selection is counted. To cast your vote for a ballot when multiple selections are possible, click your choices and they will be highlighted. Once you have made the appropriate amount of selections, you must click the Send button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen to submit your vote. If you would like to change your vote, simply click the Cancel button and select your new choices. You can change your vote as many times as required until the voting is closed. Once voting is closed, you will not be able to make another selection and only the last selections are counted. Here are a few pro tips for virtual attendees at home using the virtual meeting platform on a laptop or desktop computer. Pro tip number 1. How to hide the left menu pane. You can click on the 3 lines or hamburger icon in the upper left-hand corner to hide the menu on the left and make the center of the virtual platform larger. Click on the hamburger icon again to bring the menu back out later if needed. Pro tip number 2. Maximize Zoom using the Maximize icon in the Zoom bar. The Zoom panel can be maximized by clicking on the Maximize icon in the right of the Zoom bar, as you can see here. With Zoom taking up your full screen, text and video will appear larger. To go back to a normal view, click the X in the right of the Zoom bar. This concludes the overview of the Lumi platform. We are looking forward to your successful virtual or hybrid meeting with your organization on the Lumi virtual platform. Welcome to an overview of the Lumi virtual meeting platform. To fully take part in the virtual meetings as a virtual attendee, such as participating at home, you will be required to use either a laptop computer or a desktop computer with speakers and a microphone. It is recommended to use Google Chrome if possible, but these other web browsers are also supported. New Microsoft Edge, also known as Chromium, and Firefox. It is also recommended to update to the newest versions of these browsers for the best experience. For virtual attendees, mobile devices including iPhones, Androids, iPads, and other tablets are not supported. The web browsers Safari, Legacy Edge, and Internet Explorer are also not supported. If you will be attending the meeting on-site and in person, you will simply need an Internet-enabled device to cast your vote and join the speaker queue. You may use a mobile phone, iPhone, iPad, tablet, or any other device that has a web browser and can access the Internet. To join the virtual meeting, click on the link you will receive from your event organizer. If you're a voting delegate, click on the I am a voting delegate or I have a login button and click Continue. Log in by typing your username in the top field, the password in the bottom field, and then click Login to log in to the platform. If you are a guest or observer only, click on the I am a guest or I am an observer button and click Continue. Enter your name and email address, then click Continue to log into the platform. No credentials are required. Please note, if your organization isn't allowing guest access through the platform, you will only be prompted to enter your username and password. If you're having trouble logging in or do not know your assigned username and password, you can click the Having Trouble Logging In text or caret to see the information to receive technical support from your organization. Once logged into the virtual meeting platform, and if you are attending the meeting on site and in person, you will listen to the meeting on stage and in front of the room. If you are temporarily prompted to join the Zoom meeting, please do not connect to the Zoom meeting. If you are a virtual attendee at home, there are 2 additional steps you must take in order to connect to the Zoom meeting inside the platform so that you can listen to the meeting remotely. Please note this is a little different than just joining a normal Zoom meeting from your web browser. Step 1 is to click Allow from the white pop-up box in the left side of your screen. This will give your browser permission to use your camera and microphone, should you wish to speak from the floor during the virtual meeting. You will only see this pop up the first time you log in. Step 2 is to click the blue Join button from the Zoom panel on the right side of the screen to listen to the meeting proceedings. You will then see and hear the meeting in the Zoom panel. Now that everyone is logged into the virtual meeting platform and ready to participate in the meeting, let's review the virtual platform layout. Virtual attendees at home on a laptop or desktop computer will have a split screen view with 2 panels. The right panel of the platform is the Zoom panel where virtual attendees will listen to the meeting, see the presentations, and watch any videos or speakers. The left panel of the platform is the Lumi side with various modules available to you. There is also a menu on the left side of the screen confirming your login details. In-person attendees likely will not have the Zoom panel and will only have the Lumi panel with various modules. Once again, if you do see the Zoom panel, please do not connect to the Zoom meeting. Please watch the meeting live in front of the room. The main screen is the home page. It will have some instructions on how to use the virtual platform, how to contact technical support, and may also have links to handouts and reports. There may be resource documents in the virtual platform as well. To view the documents, click on the document icon located in the top bar. If you're on a mobile device, you may need to click on the arrow button to scroll through the top menu to find the documents icon. Then select the document you would like to view. You may download it for viewing later outside of the platform. Once you are finished reading the document, simply click on the X icon to close the document or the home icon to go back to the home page. Speaking during the virtual meeting is a multi-step process, as you will need to enter a speaker queue first before being recognized to speak. Step 1 for all virtual and in-person attendees is to join the speaker queue. To join the queue, click the messaging icon in the top menu bar. Type in what you would like to speak about in the text box at the top of the screen. You will see a legend of what action items are available that you should type in on your screen. After typing in your intention to speak, press the send arrow located to the right of your message and you will receive a quick confirmation message that says received. Please make sure you do type in your request to speak and that you see a received message at the bottom of your screen. You have now completed the first step and joined the speaker queue. Please wait for your turn to speak. Step 2 is to speak from a microphone. For in-person attendees, after being called upon by the chair, walk to a microphone in the room so that you may speak from the floor. For virtual attendees at home, after being called upon by the chair, raise your hand in Zoom. Once you have raised your hand in Zoom, you will receive a pop-up message from the host in the Zoom panel that will allow you to unmute your microphone. Click on the blue button that says Unmute, then announce yourself and begin speaking. Raising your hand in Zoom makes it easier for the production team to find you in the list of attendees and prompt you to unmute your microphone. To raise your hand in Zoom, look at the Zoom panel on the right side of the screen. Your Raise Hand button may be on the Zoom screen at the bottom. If it's not, then you will need to click the Participants button to open the participants list. The Raise Hand button is located at the bottom of the Participants panel. Finally, click the raised hand button to raise your hand. Please be aware if you raise your hand in Zoom or walk to a microphone in the room but do not enter the speaker queue in the virtual platform by typing in your intention to speak, you will not be acknowledged. So please do not raise your hand in Zoom or approach a microphone in the room unless you are asked to do so by the chair. You can go back to the home page at any time by clicking the home icon. The Lumi panel is also where you will vote. If you are an eligible voting delegate, when asked to vote, the ballot will automatically appear in the Lumi panel. To cast your vote, simply click on your choice and it will be highlighted. You will see a confirmation of your vote on your screen. To change your vote, simply make a new selection. You can change your vote as many times as required until the voting is closed. Once voting is closed, you will not be able to make another selection and only the last selection is counted. To cast your vote for a ballot when multiple selections are possible, click your choices and they will be highlighted. Once you have made the appropriate amount of selections, you must click the Send button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen to submit your vote. If you would like to change your vote, simply click the Cancel button and select your new choices. You can change your vote as many times as required until the voting is closed. Once voting is closed, you will not be able to make another selection and only the last selections are counted. Here are a few pro tips for virtual attendees at home using the virtual meeting platform on a laptop or desktop computer. Pro tip number 1. How to hide the left menu pane. You can click on the 3 lines or hamburger icon in the upper left-hand corner to hide the menu on the left and make the center of the virtual platform larger. Click on the hamburger icon again to bring the menu back out later if needed. Pro tip number 2. Maximize Zoom using the Maximize icon in the Zoom bar. The Zoom panel can be maximized by clicking on the Maximize icon in the right of the Zoom bar, as you can see here. With Zoom taking up your full screen, text and video will appear larger. To go back to a normal view, click the X in the right of the Zoom bar. This concludes the overview of the Lumi platform. We are looking forward to your successful virtual or hybrid meeting with your organization on the Lumi virtual platform.
Welcome back, everybody. We had to make a little bit of adjustments, so we went old school. I got a little piece of paper to read the next few notes instead of the fancy prompter in front of me. Technology is great until it's not, right? So I understand that some of you may have not heard me before we went to the break because I was on mute. probably on my part there. So we went to break and we played that video again for educational on how to work your technology issues, etc. So again, if you still have problems, hit that landing page on the left-hand side, hit us up for technical assistance, and we can get you all squared away. All right. A couple things here. Tips on improve connectivity for you. Turn off your video if you are not actually speaking in the video. All right. So make sure that's off. If you're in a large group, which I think some of you guys are, which is fantastic, if you could split up and use different Wi-Fis or take turns stressing off of the system, etc., or I suggested maybe hotspots if you wanted to do that with your phones. I know we could try that. And the other thing is make sure you close all your other browsers out. So all the other ones you got open, if you're an ADD person like me at work, I have like 20 browsers open. So click all of them down until the one that you have that we're using today would be helpful. Then most important, our technical person kept on mentioning about going up into where the address bar is and clicking on the padlock. If you look on the screen right now, they're showing you an example of that. So you see the padlock right there. It's either before or after the address. Click on that padlock and it'll let you know whether it's allowing access to your microphone and video or not. So you can see that on the screen. We're following that. So that'll be helpful for everybody, all right? Again, if you have any problems, left side, landing page, hit us up for any technical assistance, all right? I'd like to give a special shout out. Somebody mentioned, they're like our international delegates, especially like in Australia. So started General Assembly at 11 p.m. So thank you for everybody who is adjusting all their time in their day to make sure General Assembly is very, very productive. So I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting back to order and give it to Dan. So Dan, take it away.
Thank you so much, Ron. Before we continue with open reference hearings, just to give you some background with me speaking to you guys virtually, there's a lot of things I'm looking in the background here, a lot of people in the background I'm looking to for some guidance. I have my phone out. I have a text thread going on to see the speaker queue. So please forgive me if it looks like I'm not like playing games here or, checking my emails or anything like that. I'm a very busy person, of course, but I'm here for you guys and we're gonna have a great open reference hearings and we're gonna continue on, all right? So we're gonna continue and we're gonna go back to proposal GA 21-04, Federal Nurse Practice Act and Licensing in the USA, authored by Jessica Kastner, Jamla Rizk, and the New York State Council. And at this time, the chair recognizes Jamla Rizk. You have 1 minute to make an opening statement. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when recognized. And also, I would like to ask Marianne Portero to also raise your hand just in case we cannot recognize Jamla. Jamla, are you?
Jamla, we're not getting audio at the moment from you. Again, just want to check that permissions and make sure that everything is has permission.
So I believe your camera's on, I'm being told. So let's see about your microphone. We can see you. We can't hear you. Can you try
next to your microphone settings there is a little up caret. You just want to maybe click on that and make sure that you are accessing the correct microphone.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Perfect. Okay. Good morning. I apologize for that. My name is Jemla Rizik. I am speaking on behalf of the great state of New York in regard to GA 21-04. To date, there are only 34 states that have enacted nursing licensure compact. Having the ability to cross state lines to work without expensive fees and time waiting for licensure is critical, not only now during our current pandemic, as we've experienced over the last almost 2 years, but also for future healthcare emergencies. The delay in access to nurses due to these constraints affects patients' care. Let's be proactive and not waiting until another pandemic when states have to operate under crisis standards of care with limited nursing resources to address the nursing licensure issue. Nurse Practice Acts and state regulatory interpretations prohibit best evidence-based nursing practice. This resolution is important because it increases access to nurses during pandemics and national emergencies. It also establishes consistent Nurse Practice Acts and scope of practice, which empowers nurses to provide care to the highest extent of their capabilities and to also curb the nursing shortage currently being experienced in states. Nurses are burnt out and leaving the profession, and we have already experienced the impact of COVID. Let's focus on making one thing easier for nurses. And I'm going to speak on behalf of myself. My initial nursing licensure is from the great state of New York, and I have spent thousands of dollars in fees over the last 6 years as a travel nurse. And I just hope that everyone supports this and recognizes the need for this to be proactive. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The floor is now open for 10 minutes of discussion on Proposal 21-04. Once you are called upon to speak, please raise your hand in Zoom to be given audio and camera rights. Each speaker is limited to 1 minute. At this time, the chair recognizes Adam Brown, followed by Mary Alice Van Hoy. Please raise your hands in Zoom and unmute when prompted.
Hey, Adam Brown from North Carolina. I just wanted to make a point of order and make a motion due to the large number of speakers that have been cut off due to technical issues of their time limit. I wanted to make a motion to increase the personal time limit by 30 seconds and subsequently the topic overall time limit by 3 minutes to allow for those technical issues to be dealt with.
According to the approved General Assembly Rules of Procedure, motions are not in order to be made. Chair recognizes Mary Alice Van Hoy. I'm sorry, Adam. Mary Alice, if you want to just raise your hand and unmute when you're asked to do so, please. Followed by Mary Ann Portoro.
Mary, you are unmuted. It seems like we're not hearing any audio from you. So again, you just want to check that browser setting and make sure you're giving your browser permissions for your microphone. That'd be great. And otherwise, again, check the up arrow carrots by your microphone icon and make sure that you are connected to the appropriate microphone. Thank you.
My name is Mary Alice Van Hoy, and I'm speaking director of the Board of Nursing, is an AN.
Mary Alice, we did hear part of
ENA
that.
member and serves as a legislative teams are currently working monthly 10. There has been a few more that have moved forward. Compact states than to have to get all the legislative to revise their commerce. Challenge is accentuated as nursing is regulated by different states in different States. Which
I'm sorry, Mary Alice, you are breaking up there with your.
the resource between nurses and. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Alice. And just as a reminder also to all the speakers and delegates that the time doesn't start, the speaking time doesn't start until you actually start speaking. So you have the full 1 minute once you start speaking to a resolution proposal. That being said, the chair recognizes Mary Ann Portoro. And then Nick Chmielewski is next up. So also please raise your hand. Mary Ann?
Good morning. I'm Mary Ann Portoro. Yeah, I think I got it.
Good morning.
Mary Ann Portoro from the President New York State ENA. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. Actually, this is a very timely resolution. I think it's something that we all need to look at as other organizations are also looking at this and going forward, looking at more pandemics that may be coming forward or just other nursing crisis issues, since we are so short staffed in many of the places where we're working right now and across the country. Nursing is becoming a great shortage. And I think it's just a very timely resolution that we should really seriously think about. And just on behalf of New York State ENA, we totally support this resolution.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Nick Chmielewski.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Go ahead. Excellent. This is Nick Chmielewski from the great state of Ohio, speaking on behalf of myself. I fully support this resolution. I do have one point of clarity and concern that I hope the authors might be able to make in a revision, though, and that is the title itself. It's a little bit misleading, stating a Federal Nurse Practice Act. You know, the Nurse Practice Acts are, in essence, a police power that are regulated by the boards of nursing. And so to just say in the title, Federal Nurse Practice Act and licensing in the United States of America could create some misleading conclusions by anyone that were to read it. I have no problems with the whereas or resolve clauses. I would suggest the title itself be revised to nurse licensing in the United States of America. Thank you so much to the authors, and I encourage everyone to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Vientiane Pajo, followed by Dan Nadworthy. Please both raise your hands in Zoom and unmute when you're prompted.
Can you hear me?
Good morning. Go
Hello,
ahead,
morning.
please.
Good morning. Go ahead, please. Oh, hi. Good morning. I'm Vientiane Pajo from Florida, speaking on behalf of myself, from my perspective and personal experience as a former U.S. immigrant and now a naturalized citizen with nursing education obtained overseas. I agree with both Jamla and Mary. Standardization is much needed and welcome, especially at this present time. The tip of the iceberg being each state requires a different requirement for RN immigrants with or without overseas education obtained for nursing, on top of U.S. immigration requirements at certain cases limiting our movements geographically and in practice, on some extent even with employers, the details and intricacies of which are very lengthy to discuss within 1 minute. Also, as a colleague wisely stated, that investing in this allows us the opportunity and the spontaneity to have a stake or say is concerned moving forward as it develops. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Dan Nadworthy, followed by Tricia Erickson. Please both raise your hands in Zoom.
Daniel, you are unmuted at this time. But it seems like we're not getting any audio from you. So again, just wanted to check those permissions in your browser. Make sure they are allowed access to your microphone, and hopefully we can get you back on.
Give you a few more moments there. Okay, we will move on. Chair recognizes Tricia Erickson. And then we could try Dan again.
Okay, this is Tricia Erickson and Mary Alice Van Hoy. We're trying again. We are speaking on State Council. We support this resolution and the resolve in line 33. One of our members is actually on the board, executive director of the Board of Nursing for Maryland, and he said that they are currently the legislative team of the Council of State Boards is working with the remaining 10 non-compact states to incorporate them in. It would be a much easier process if all into the compact, because legislative changes in COMAR to each state would be very lengthy in nature. The challenge is to accentuate it as nursing is not regulated by a single board within a single state. This is variable. Legislative advocacy resources to work with the stakeholders to incorporate the remaining states into the state licensure compact. This would allow easier movement between the states.
Thank you. We're going to go back and the chair recognizes Dan Naberney. And Cheryl Marcel will be next, so please also raise your hand in Zoom. Okay. Cheryl, make sure you also raise your hand while we try for Dan. Dan, are you on? Hello? Okay, we will move on then. Or is this Cheryl? We hear someone. The chair recognizes Cheryl Marcel.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Marcel. I am a delegate in New York, and I'm speaking for myself. For instance, we were supposed to go to Florida and volunteer to give COVID vaccinations in Florida, but without a license that covers all states, you would never have been able to orchestrate that volunteerism because we wouldn't have had licenses to do that. I think it's for patient safety to make sure that all states have the same list of revoked licenses as well. And I am personally licensed in 2 states, and there's different CEUs for renewal for both states. I think all states should have the same licensure requirement for CEUs. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Cindy Hirel. Please raise your hand.
Good morning. This is Cindy. Can you hear me, Daniel?
Good morning. Yes, go ahead.
So I'm from the Virginia State Council, but I'm speaking on behalf of myself. And I support GA 2104, having ENA collaborate with other national nursing organizations on the establishment of a national licensure. Early in my career as a military dependent, I was faced with challenges every time we had a PCS move. Despite maintaining my home state licensure, I was challenged with doing background checks, fingerprints, and applications in each new state. This was a costly process, and with one move resulted in a 6-month delay in getting my license and thus time out of work. This was way prior to the current compact licensure, which has had great improvement, but we still have a lot of work. Having a federal licensure would allow for a more streamlined process and also be beneficial during disasters and the current pandemic, where critical staffing needs could be addressed in a more timely fashion. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Stacy Matha. Please raise your hand in Zoom.
Hello, my name is Stacy Matha. I am the Indiana ENA State President, speaking on behalf of myself. Currently, my day job is as clinical manager for an international nurse recruiting company, and I've spent the last year licensing nurses in about 15 different states. I'm speaking in support of this resolution and believe that ENA offers a unique perspective on this issue at the national level because of our work in crisis nursing, such as the last 2 years, as well as our international network of nurses. With one unified voice, the influence of ENA's membership can help to move this issue forward amongst state and federal legislators and nurse regulatory bodies. I encourage everyone to vote in favor of this resolution.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Julia Bossi. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted.
Hi, this is Julia. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning. This is Julia Bossi, representing the state of Georgia, and we are in favor of this resolution. We do feel that it is important with our current practice and pandemic stature, as well as any other disasters, that we would be able to swiftly come to the aid of any of our fellow ENA members and hospitals. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Dan Nadworny. Let's try again and see if we can get you on here.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me now?
Good morning, Dan.
Oh, finally. So good morning, Dan Nadworny speaking on behalf of myself in support for the resolution. I wanted to point out that the paramedics across the country have moved to national certification with good success. This resolution brings emergency nursing in line, working with our key stakeholders. Often, as many people have mentioned, the disasters are a main reason for why we share staff across borders, but often there are events that occur that do not raise to the level of a disaster declaration. This can be staff shortages or other circumstances that take place where staff are needed to quickly move from one area to another. Having consistent practices across the country and best practices being shared would be wonderful to support our ongoing mission. So we'll ask other members to speak in support for this resolution. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Ena Finances. Please raise your hand in Zoom. Fellow Resolutions Committee member.
Can you hear me okay, Dan?
Yeah, Ena, go ahead, please.
Okay, so my name is Ena Finances from Pennsylvania State Council, Pennsylvania State President, speaking on behalf of myself. Personally, I know that ANA's Government Affairs Chair has said that the ANA is not pursuing a federal scope of practice because the federal government is not interested in taking that on. They want to leave it to the states. And I don't see the difference really between what's being asked for in this resolution versus the compact, so that nurses can transfer their license state to state. And the person that brought up the example of the paramedics, yes, certification is national, as is our RN certifications and things like that. But scope of practice is different literally from county to county in each state. And they can't agree on anything. So why are we going to use them as an example, unfortunately? So again, if the authors could clarify the difference between the compact and what they're asking for, that would be great.
Thank you. The time for discussion has expired and we do have speakers in the queue. The question is on extending discussion time for an additional 5 minutes. This vote will require a 2/3 vote to pass. All those in favor, please vote for. All those against, please vote no. Please vote now. Let's see the results, please. %35 voted for, 64 voted against. The motion is not agreed to. We'll be moving on. Proposal GA 21-06, Emergency Clinical Nurse Specialist National Certification, authored by Carla Brim and Jeannie Burney. The chair recognizes Carla Brim. You will have 1 minute to make an opening statement. Please raise your hand in Zoom to be recognized.
Good morning. This is Carla Brim from Washington State, representing myself and Jeannie Burney from Ohio. We want to thank the Resolutions Committee and supporters of our resolution for advocating for an Emergency Clinical Nurse Specialist National Certification. Currently, no national CNS certification exists, which creates inequity and inability to provide care to the full scope of practice for the CNSs. The ENA's mission to ensure that ED nurses are practicing to their full scope of practice, and the ENA is recognized as a specialty professional organization for the emergency nursing, and it is accountable for establishing education, skills, and competencies. Our ask of the ENA is to establish the criteria for CNSs to become credentialed in the ED. We request the development of strategic partnership to develop a national certification for emergency CNS. This ask is in line with the ENA's strategic plan of increasing collaboration and partnerships that advance emergency nursing. This will allow for equitable access to certification for advanced practice registered nurses educated in the role of the CNS who practice within the emergency department. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carla. The floor is now open for 10 minutes of discussion on Proposal 21-06. Once you are called upon to speak, please raise your hand in Zoom to be given audio and camera rights. Each speaker is limited to 1 minute. At this time, the chair recognizes Rebecca Steinman, followed by Chelsea Collins. Please raise your hands in Zoom, and when called upon, please unmute.
Rebecca, it appears that you are unmuted at this point. We are not getting any audio from you. Please just check the browser permissions, and hopefully that will solve the issue.
Thank you, Adam. We'll give you a few more moments there, Rebecca. And Chelsea, just make sure also that your hand is up so we can go to you next. Rebecca, are you still there? Okay, we will move on. Chair recognizes Chelsea Collins, and Rebecca will try again afterwards.
Okay, I think you can hear me. So, my name is Chelsea Collins from Colorado, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I graduated with my DMP as a CNS in May, and I'm currently studying for my CNS boards. I may be the only one actively studying for boards, or at least only a handful of individuals. I have two options in the adult health track. That would be general CNS or critical care CNS. I wholeheartedly support the emergency nurse CNS certification. However, this resolution as it is currently worded is not the avenue to complete this. For those of you who don't know, a CNS brings research to the bedside, and we're the content matter experts, and we work in 3 spheres of influence. Currently, the National Association of the Clinical Nurse Specialists identify the core competencies for CNS practice. These competencies include things such as implements, customize evidence-based advanced nursing interventions, and they're a broader range and apply to both general health and critical care exams. Identifying separate competencies are unnecessary. Secondly, the Emergency Nurses Association has endorsed these competencies. The resolution should be brought down to one resolved reading. Resolve the Emergency Nurses Association collaborate with BCEN.
The speaker's time has expired. The chair recognizes once again Rebecca Steinman, followed by Pamela Fox. Please raise your hands in Zoom. Let's see if we can get you on here, Rebecca. All right, we will move on and we'll try again. Chair recognizes Pamela Fox. You know that your hand is raised, just make sure you unmute when prompted to do so. And Jeffrey Murphy's next. You can also raise your hand.
Pamela, you are unmuted. Again, we're not getting any audio from you, so please check the padlock icon on your address window in your browser and make sure you're giving permissions to your browser to access your microphone.
Thank you, Adam. You have a few more seconds to see if we can get you on there. Otherwise, we'll move on. All right, then the chair recognizes Jeffrey Murphy. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when prompted to do so. Hello? Your audio is breaking up there.
No. Jeffrey, it sounds like we have a bad connection there, internet connection. I would suggest maybe next to your microphone icon, there is an up arrow, and make sure that you, if your connection is bad, maybe try another audio option like calling in.
I
Who's trying to speak?
can't hear anybody.
We can hear you.
I can't hear.
Who is
Hi,
this?
this is Pamela Fox.
Thank you, Pamela. Go ahead, please.
My name is Pamela Fox, and I'm speaking on behalf of Maryland. While we support certification
specialty practice field. We are requesting further clarification on the following details. Pamela Fox. Hello?
Go ahead, Pamela. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Start over? Okay. My name is
Continue speaking.
Pamela Fox. I'm speaking on behalf of, we are requesting further clarification. Mentions being able to practice to the fullest extent and authority of the degree descriptive benefits mentioned. What are the practices requested in this resolution? Number 2, while some states allow prescriptive authority, other states do not, how will this national certification or education resolve that? 3, how does the national certification for emergency CNS a common health, behavioral health, CNS in the general practice area that would want to be certified as described to warrant the expense in program development?
Thank you, Pamela. The chair recognizes at this time, we'll try Eric Christensen. Please raise your hand in Zoom. And then followed by Deborah Skeen. Never mind, remove Deborah Skeen. Just Eric Christensen. David Mcdonald can raise your hand.
Host muted me. Previous delegates was speaking and resolved to
Oh, Eric, you're cutting out there.
Not able to finish her statement. We should collaborate with the BCEN, NACNS, and other stakeholders to advocate and explore the development of an emergency clinical nurse specialist.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Moving on, the chair recognizes David Mcdonald, followed by Terry Campbell. Please make sure your hands are raised in Zoom.
Hi, this is David McDonald from North Carolina, speaking on behalf of myself. Am I coming in clearly?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so as a CNS for the last 10 years plus, I've had the pleasure of getting certifications all from the AACN. And I just think that's very disheartening. You know, I don't consider myself an expert in critical care, but I have to get a critical care certification because that's the closest what we have for emergency nurses or emergency CNSs. So I would strongly advocate that, for a majority of these resolve clauses. The only one that I really don't understand is the third one, where strategic partnerships do enable equitable access to national certification. I really don't understand that clause, so and I'd love the authors to explain that a little bit more. Other than that, I really advocate that the ENA either work with BCEN or come up with their own or come up with a portfolio program to allow us as emergency CNSs to be certified specifically in emergency nursing as a CNS. And I do advocate for the use of our competencies that.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Terry Campbell.
Hi, this is Rebecca Steinman, delegate from Illinois State Council, speaking on my own behalf. I'm in favor of this resolution. I've been a clinical nurse specialist for several decades. I'm certified by the American Association of Critical Care Nurses as a clinical care nurse specialist. I would ask that a resolve clause be added, basically reading that the ENA conduct a feasibility study to determine the business case for the development of a national emergency CNS exam. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there additional speakers in the queue? Seeing none, we will move on to, oh, there are speakers in the queue. Stand by, please. The chair recognizes Dina Brescher. Please raise your hand in Zoom. And followed by Julia Bossi. Please also raise your hand in Zoom.
Good morning. I'm Dina Brescher, past president and clinical nurse specialist, speaking on behalf of myself. While I applaud what the authors are trying to do, and trust me, I have had many, many challenges with the right certification for CNSs. I think where we need to start the work is to recognize that we are not recognized as emergency care, as a specialty or a population focus in the advanced practice consensus model. And that's really where I think we need to start. I think we need to advocate for the fact that emergency care is not just family, it's not just adult, it's not just pediatrics, it's not just women's health, and it's not just psych, it's all of those things. And so right now, currently in the advanced practice consensus model, emergency care doesn't exist as a population focus. If we can successfully advocate for that, certification becomes a very natural next step in that process.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Julia Bossi, followed by Jennifer Williams-Cook. Please both raise your hands in Zoom.
Hi, this is Julia Bossi. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. So yes, I'm Julia Bossi from the great state of Georgia, speaking on behalf of our state. We are in full support of this resolution. We do feel that there is a necessity for clinical nurse specialists to be able to be certified, especially as emergency nurses, along with those particular competencies. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Jennifer Williams-Cook. You are unmuted, Jennifer. I can't hear you, though.
Jennifer, if you just want to, again, make sure you check your browser permissions by clicking on the padlock icon in the address bar and allowing the browser to access your microphone. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. And just as a reminder, delegates can only speak one time to each proposal. So Jennifer would not be recognized at this time. Oh, she can. Oh, never mind. Scratch that.
Jennifer, if you're continuing to have problems connecting to your audio, there is a little up arrow next to your microphone icon in which you can choose audio options and potentially call in using your phone.
And there is another speaker in the queue, Jeannie Burney, if you want to raise your hand also. The chair recognizes Jeannie Burney.
Can you guys hear me? This is Jeannie
Yes.
Burney.
Yes, go ahead.
for the state of Ohio, speaking on behalf of myself. I just wanted to provide a little clarification to Dina. I am currently sitting on a collaborative committee between NAC and Emergency Nurses Association, and we are right now in the process of looking at care as a population. And so hopefully, as that committee moves forward, we will be able to take care of that problem and then move right on to collaborating with other organizations to identify a certification for emergency clinic. Thanks.
Thank you. At this time, we'll try again. The chair recognizes Jennifer Williams Cook. Make sure your hand is raised in Zoom and unmute when prompted to do so, please. And Denise Rue can also raise your hand because you'll be next to be called upon.
Jennifer, you are unmuted at this time, and we still are having a hard time connecting to your audio. Again, if you want to check your microphone icon, there is a little up arrow, and you may be able to use other options to connect your audio, whether it's a phone or another microphone on your laptop. Thank you.
I think at this time we will move on once again, and the chair recognizes Denise Rue.
Good morning, good evening. This is Denise Rue. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, good morning.
I'm speaking from the state of North Carolina on behalf of myself. I am a CNS, clinical nurse specialist for the emergency departments, and have been for several years. And I would like to talk about that our state of North Carolina has grandfathered several of us, ones that have been nurses for like 37 years, but actually had the education to go along with the clinical nurse. And they recognized us by us having the certification as an emergency nursing nurse. And so I would like to say that even if we're not able to have the emergency, most states can recognize you with having your master's and having your certification as a wonderful I guess between the state of the North Carolina Nursing Board and our organization. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, the chair recognizes Sarah Baird, and I believe Jennifer will be speaking through Sarah's computer, followed by Tina Nielsen. Please make sure your hands are raised.
Hey, this is Jennifer. I'm under Sarah's name. We're having technical difficulties on the computer. This is the state of Mississippi, speaking on behalf of the state of Mississippi. I think before we address a national certification, we need to look at the CNS certification, or CNS is being recognized nationally. Our state does not even recognize this as a level of practice. So I think that's something that we need to look at, making things sort of more level across the board before we decide to work on a national certification.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Tina Nielsen. We see that your hand is raised. Just please unmute.
Tina, you are unmuted. It appears we're not getting any audio from you. So once again, just make sure you click on the padlock icon and make sure that you are allowing your browser permission to access your microphone. And oh, we got you.
This is Tina Niels.
Tina? Tina, we heard you there. Are you still there?
Hi,
Hello, Tina?
this is Tina Nielsen. And I'm speaking on behalf. Basically, what I would like to say is that I really like the idea of this national certification for emergency population focus. There needs to be more discussion and alignment with the ANCC.
Okay, thank you.
Are you able to hear me a little bit better now?
Yes. You want to try that again?
If you can, I just really, the idea of this national certification for emergency population focus and alignment with the NACNS and the ANCC.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no additional speakers in the queue, we will move on. Proposal GA 21-07, triage challenges in emergency nursing and conducting research to reduce error and improve outcomes. And just as a reminder also, if you're having difficulty with the audio, there's also an option for calling in using your phone. Look in the audio option and there should be a phone audio option. This resolution is authored by Mary Harwood. The chair recognizes Mary. You will have 1 minute to make an opening statement. Please raise your hand in Zoom to be recognized. Mary Harwood.
It appears that Mary does not have her audio connected, and so we cannot unmute her.
Okay.
So Mary, if you just want to refresh your browser. Oh, here we go. We have her audio.
All right, stand by. I think she's coming through.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Can you hear us?
Yes, no?
Yes. Go ahead. Mary, can you hear us? Your sound may be off.
So I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yes, no?
Yes, go
Can
ahead.
somebody tell me if I'm heard?
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
So my resolution 2107 speaks to triage challenges in emergency nursing and conducting research. So I decided to do this resolution because of ongoing, I have a lot of research in here. Triage decision making is a critical role for the emergency nurse, and it's the first eyes we lay on the patient and directs them to where they'll have many triage biases that all of us who work in emergency nursing, language, race, ethnical pain triages, pediatrics, and disability challenges that the patient presents. Statement from 2018 talking about qualifications and competency, but is that many nurses are based in triage because kind of today ENA has purchased the ESI class from AHRQ, but again, it's an A class and really doesn't give us critical thinking skills based on triage.
Okay. Thank you. And with that, the floor is now open for 10 minutes of discussion on proposal 21-07. Once again, when called upon to speak, please raise your hand in Zoom to be given audio and camera rights. Each speaker is limited to 1 minute. At this time, the chair recognizes Teresa Sullivan.
On mute. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, Teresa, go ahead.
Maybe?
Yes. We
Hey,
can
this
hear
is
you.
Terry Sullivan. I'm speaking on behalf of Georgia. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay. This is Terry Sullivan. I'm speaking on behalf of the state of Georgia. And triage is one of the areas of highest risk for the ED. With our recent advances in ENA owning ESI and the introduction of computer triage adjuncts like Kate, it's imperative that we stay on top of the impact of these advances. ENA is poised to do that by monitoring the state of research on the topic, and we really implore everyone to vote in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, the chair recognizes Teresa Sullivan. Which is already done.
Teresa, just vote.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else in the speaking queue at this point? All right, stand by, please, while we look at the queue here. The chair recognizes Vicky Sweet. And then David Mcdonald to follow. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted. I really think I understand the intent of this resolution, but I'm not sure that it's active or that's accurately reflected in the one resolved clause about a report. It does look to me as I read through this that lines 15 through 19 could very easily be resolved clauses, and actually it looks like they're written more as a resolved clause rather than a whereas. They do seem to be asking for study and research about the triage environment, roles, and all of the things that we feel are important about triage. So I'm just asking the authors to review their resolution and clarify the intent and even consider moving lines 15 through 19 down into more of a resolved clause so that we get more than a report from this resolution.
Thank you. The chair recognizes David Mcdonald, followed by Kim Johnson. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Hi, this is David Mcdonald from North Carolina speaking on behalf of myself. I'm speaking out against some of this. I'm in favor of it as a whole. However, I have some concerns about an annual report on research. I think that's a lot to expect of any professional organization to do a lit search for you every year and let you know what new research has come out. For example, the CPG committee usually revises their entire CPGs every 3 years. So to ask them to do this every year, I think is a little bit much. I would also ask that they consider potentially referring this to the CPG committee and seeing if there is enough research out there to make some not position statements, but make a CPG regarding best practices in triage. And that will automatically make that renewed every 3 years as they look for new research. But as a whole, I'm again okay with this, but I just don't like the yearly requirement.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, only those that are recognized to speak should be raising their hands in Zoom. At this time, then, the chair recognizes Kim Johnson, followed by Kevin McFarland. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Hi, thanks. My name is Kim Johnson. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and the Ohio State Council. When we discussed this resolution as a council, we appreciated the intent of the resolution, but we had some concerns about it. I am a researcher whose focus is triage, so I was really excited to see the title of the resolution because it can be extremely difficult to conduct research regarding triage. However, the resolve statement doesn't seem to go with the title. The resolve statement, like the previous speaker said, ask for that yearly update on the research that the ENA is doing on triage. As a member of the Emergency Nurse Research Advisory Council, I know that the ENA is doing some really great research. However, we are not the only source of triage research, and the scope of the resolve statement seems to focus primarily on the work that the ENA is doing. I think if the authors of this resolution are interested in the state of the science of triage, it seems that the same objectives can be accomplished by them conducting and publishing a literature review or evidence-based practice update and submitting it for publication to the Journal of Emergency Nursing.
Thank you. Speaker's time has expired. The chair recognizes at this time Kevin McFarland, followed by India Owens. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Hey everybody, Kevin McFarland here speaking on behalf of myself. The whole idea of research is to get this out and distribute the information that we're doing. So I think this is probably already happening. I think there's going to be a lot of research coming out around ESI and triage, and I'm glad that ENA has taken the bull by the horns and will be leading this effort. So I applaud ENA for what they're already doing, what research is already coming out. There's already a great body of literature around ESI, and it's growing. So keep up the good work, keep doing what you're doing. I don't know that it necessarily needs to be a report. Rather than focusing on a report, let's focus on getting the work out, the good work that we're doing. So thank you to ENA and all the work they're doing around triage.
Thank you. Chair recognizes India Owens, followed by Mary Zaleski. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Hello. My name is India Owens, and I'm a delegate from Indiana, and I'm also on the Resolutions Committee, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I just wanted to inform, add some information. The author of this resolution had written it with the whereases as the resolves. But in discussion with ENA staff, we recognized that, and the author recognized that all of those asks were already in play. And so we saw a disconnect between what ENA was doing as far as triage research and membership knowledge of that. And so the resolve was distilled down to asking for an annual report of the triage research and where they were in their activities. So that's just to inform you all.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Mary Zaleski, followed by Chelsea Collins.
Hi, my name's Mary Zaleski. I am speaking on behalf of the Maryland State Council. And at this time, we cannot support this resolution. We feel the monies would be better spent to lower the cost of our ESI training and standardizing the triage education across the nation. We also found that lines 59 and 61 referring to the bias to be offensive, as it says we are not doing it right. We are doing it right. We prove that every day. And the cost of a report for research that's already in progress, I like David Mcdonald's suggestion of a CPG. We have great research. Let's get it out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Chelsea Collins.
Hi, everybody. Chelsea Collins from Colorado, speaking on behalf of myself. I first and foremost would like to ask what Lisa Wolf has to say about this resolution, since she is their researcher. I would imagine that we're actually already doing all of this stuff and that they have it available. So I would like to get Lisa's information and input on it if we can. And then secondly, in regards to some of the comments about we're already doing this right and stuff, research shows that ESI is only 50% effective as it is. And so I do think we need to have more research, but maybe we're already doing that. Do we need to reduplicate efforts, reinvent the wheel, or do we need to identify better ways to do what we already have in place?
Thank you. And we are going to check to see if Lisa Wolf is available. At this time, there are no other speakers in the queue. We have Lisa Chambers. The chair recognizes, stand by.
Available.
Lisa Wolf?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
All right,
I had to get unmuted, sorry.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, so thanks very much for allowing me to speak to this. About a year ago, we did a Delphi study, modified Delphi method study, which identified some priorities for triage research. And so we are kind of moving along in those things. And I think that Chelsea Collins's point that ESI, the average accuracy is about 60%. But I suspect that has very little to do with the algorithm itself and more toward the environmental constraints on the application of that algorithm. So that's some work that we're doing as well. I think that there's a very huge body of current and planned research around ESI triage that the ENR is doing, the Emergency Nursing Research Group is doing, and certainly a thought to develop a clearinghouse for triage, for research on triage, is going to be important for members to be able to access that work. So that's kind of where we are with that.
Thank you, Lisa. At this time, the chair recognizes Lisa Chambers. Please raise your hand in Zoom. And Roseanne Money will be next. So the both of you, please raise your hands in Zoom. Lisa Chambers.
Lisa, you are unmuted at this time.
There you
It
go.
does a,
First, I'm coming to you from the state of California, speaking on behalf of myself. In regard to the research of triage, I'm very passionate. This resolution would be better suited to added lines about funding, triage research and being targeted in what type of triage research we're looking to fund, because that way we can help encourage inquiry throughout emergency nursing and really help to inspire those nurses who are attaining those advanced degrees.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Chair recognizes then Roseanne Moni. Roseanne, please unmute when you're prompted to do so. I'm being told that you just place yourself.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
we can. Yes, hello.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hi, this is Roseanne Moni from the state of New York, speaking on behalf of myself. Hi, I think part of what we're missing here is I believe the author's intent was to have a more thorough triage type of a course. I know that ESI is a wonderful tool, but really it doesn't go into enough depth, especially with newer people in triage. I think what we really do need is a more thorough triage course. We have TNCC, et cetera, and they do address triage B, especially with the amount of triages that are being missed. So I would say that we need to explore a little bit more into designing a true triage course. Thank you.
Thank you. And at this time, discussion has expired for this proposal. And we will move on to proposal GA 21-08, training of the emergency care technician in the emergency department, authored by Catherine Gleason and Jeannie Burney. At this time, the chair recognizes Catherine Gleason. You will have 1 minute to make an opening statement. Please raise your hand in Zoom.
Hi there. My name is Catherine Gleason from the great state of Ohio, speaking on behalf of myself and Jeannie Burney. We want to thank the Resolutions Committee and our supporters of the resolution training the emergency care assistive personnel in the emergency department. Our goal is to return the ENA's emergency care technician curriculum, which was last published in 2003, allowing EDs across the country to have access to this valuable resource to standardize training for this very crucial support role. There was paucity of evidence regarding ED assistive personnel, but what we did find, however, advocates for utilizing ECAPs to achieve a team-based approach in the ED while promoting improved patient outcomes, safety, team retention, and satisfaction. Additionally, the current ENA strategic plan advocates for the value of a team-based approach. In these times, EDs across the country are struggling to recruit and retain healthcare workers. Investing in the revision and updating of the existing curriculum will help facilitate the training and maximize the potential of the ECAP in a support role of the emergency care team. We look forward to your.
Thank you. The author's time has expired. The floor is now open for 10 minutes of discussion on proposal 21-08. As always, once you are called upon to speak, please raise your hand in Zoom, and each speaker is limited to 1 minute. And at this point, we don't have any speakers in the queue, so we will hold, stand by. We do have a speaker. The chair recognizes Mary Mahoney. Please raise your hand in Zoom to be recognized. Oh, Mary Van Noy, correction. My apologies.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, hi, I'm Trisha Erickson. I'm speaking on Mary Van Hoy's computer due to technical issues. but I'm speaking on behalf of the Maryland ENA State Council, and we are against this resolution as we feel there's too much variability in different skill levels between hospital systems. Each emergency department or system, as well as each state, has various levels of licensed and non-licensed personnel designations with varying skill sets and potentially different legislative scopes of practice. For example, hospitals may hire a CNA with a basic skill set, but another may augment their skills to an advanced tech level. So this is not an all-inclusive thing. There need to be multiple versions of the competency, or we need buy-in from all facilities across the country to have one level of emergency care assistive personnel rather than multiple different licenses and scopes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Nancy Doolittle. Please raise your hand in Zoom. And David Mcdonald is next to follow.
Hi, this is Nancy Doolittle. I'm speaking on behalf of both myself as well as the state of Georgia. We are in strong support of this. Emergency care assistive personnel play an invaluable role and a critical part of our team. And we truly value what this resource would bring in standardizing that educational piece for our team members.
Okay, thank you. Chair recognizes David McDonald, followed by Jason Carter. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Hi, this is David McDonald from North Carolina, speaking on behalf of myself. I just wanted, I do appreciate what Marilyn is saying, that there is a difference between how techs are utilized in different states and different hospitals. I do think that we have the ability to write a curriculum that can kind of compensate for that and can provide the breadth of responsibilities and allow people to tailor that educational product to whatever scope that they have. I mean, some places the techs can put in IV, some places they can't. We can cover the content and people can decide what to teach based upon their respective institutions. So we do that in a lot of different products that cover a wide variety of skill sets. And I don't think that would be excluded from a product that we can make for the techs in the emergency department.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Jason Carter.
Hi, this is Jason Carter from Oklahoma. I'm representing the state. I feel that it is our duties as a organization to provide that guidance. And so whether a hospital chooses to allow their techs to have a larger scope of practice, we can at least create something that allows the foundation to be built and give people direction on where to take their process. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Kevin McFarland. Please raise your hand in Zoom to be recognized. And Vicky Sweets to follow. Please raise your hand also.
Hi, y'all. Kevin McFarland here from Texas, representing myself. Having had the opportunity to build a course curriculum out of the last emergency department technician book that was put out, I can tell you that there's a great variety in what the scope of practice and the licensure issues that end up becoming part of this, end up being part of any kind of curriculum around emergency department technicians. I think it's a great idea to have a book and a resource, but I think it's going to be one of those things that's so state dependent and even so organization dependent that it's going to be hard to have a unified curriculum on what emergency department technicians do. I started my career in the ER as an ER technician and loved it. It was the coolest job ever. And we had a huge scope of practice that would blow your mind. There's a lot of people, a lot of organizations that are doing it, but it's hard to make a unified textbook. The textbook that we use, the ENA textbook, was good, but it just scratched the surface of what we.
The speaker's time has expired. Thank you. Chair recognizes Vicky Sweet, followed by Santana Alvera.
Okay, there we go. I was one of the original contributors to the book back in 2003, and it's very interesting to hear the comments that I'm hearing from the floor right now are very similar to what we were talking about when we were creating this resource. I was very glad to see that it was being resurrected because we were looking at this to help standardize and provide guidance for emergency department managers and emergency department nurses on how to teach some of the basic skills for emergency department assistive personnel. We never intended this to mean scope of practice or standardizing scope of practice across states, counties, international, but more as a resource for education. So I, as a delegate from California, for my own personal satisfaction, I guess I would love to see this revised.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Santana Alvera, followed by Heidi Gilbert. Please raise your hands in Zoom. Santana, make sure you unmute yourself. Are you there, Santana?
Santana is unmuted at this point, but we don't seem to be getting audio from him. So Santana, if you just want to kind of check that padlock in your address bar in your browser and make sure you're giving your browser permissions to access your microphone, that'd be great. If you're still having trouble, make sure you check that microphone icon and hit the up arrow and make sure that you're connected to the right microphone. And if not, go to audio options and possibly use the 1-800 number to call in. Thanks.
Thank you, Adam. For right now, then we'll move on to the chair recognizes Heidi Gilbert, followed by potentially Tamara Wielden. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Hi, this is Heidi. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead,
Oh,
please.
you can. Hi, this is Heidi Gilbert. I am speaking on behalf of myself and also for Oklahoma as a delegate in support of this resolution. As an emergency department educator, I honestly didn't know that this was in existence, this book. And so I was pleasantly surprised reading this resolution as I'm in charge of educating our non-licensed clinical team. And so this is already out there. So I think revising it and bringing it up to date and with evidence-based practice is a no-brainer. And regardless of scope of practice, I think that this definitely needs to be revised with updated clinical information. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Tamara Wielden, followed by Julie Rossi. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Hi, this is Tammy Wielden, Washington State, speaking on behalf of myself. And I really support this. This curriculum would really provide a strong foundation to our techs, not looking at scope of practice, but just seeing the techs that come into the department that have such a varying skill set and need that foundation so much that this would be really beneficial.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Julie Rossi, followed by Penny Blake. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Hi, this is Julie Rossi from California, representing myself. I echo the comments with regards to revising the reference. ENA has already put this out, and we have an obligation as an organization for information that we have available to revise that periodically or to remove it altogether. So I think as an organization, since this is still available, to have something from 2003 this old without revision, I think it's our organization's responsibility to make sure we have current and up-to-date references and resources. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Penny Blake, followed by Elizabeth Gumpf. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Hi, this is Penelope Blake. I'm speaking on behalf of myself as a delegate with the Florida delegation. I'm in favor of this. I've recently become a clinical educator, and in our hospitals in the area where I am in South Florida, because of such a loss of emergency department personnel, we are having to augment our staffing with a lot of technical assistant staff, as well as even some are going to LPNs again. Having a resource like this to be able to utilize is something that would be very helpful to me as an educator. And also too, it was, it's not like we're creating it from scratch. As it's been said before, I do think we have an obligation. If we have this resource out there, it's been 20 years, we need to update it.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Elizabeth Gumpf, followed by, we'll try Santana Olvera again.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Gumpf from the beautiful state of California, and I'm speaking for myself. I believe that this would be a fabulous resource for all of us. I don't think we need to go down the rabbit hole of scope of practice, but I definitely think if we have this resource, we should update it. It's an obligation to all of the ERs across the nation to help everyone out with this fabulous resource. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Santana Olvera. Santana, are you there? Being told you're unmuted. We have no one else in the speaking queue at this time, so we'll continue to see if we can get you on here. The phone option is available if you would like to try that also.
All right, can you hear me this time?
Yes.
Excellent, sorry for that. My name is Santana Olvera. I'm with the Texas State Council, speaking on behalf of myself. I just want to point out, I love the idea behind this resolution. I really and truly do. I feel like more so instead of a whole curriculum, because it is outdated, I think we would benefit more from possibly doing more of a checklist, something downloadable for competencies available to every emergency room versus and kind of maybe archiving this particular program and more so just kind of moving to that general outline for competencies, since that's kind of what this resolution is kind of asking for, but it helps kind of, I think that would be more beneficial than a whole curriculum of sorts. But thank you all for hearing what I had to say.
Thank you, and thank you for your patience with that, Santana. Glad we got you on there. At this point, there are no additional speakers in the queue. If there are no additional speakers, then we will continue and move on to GA 21-09, Increasing Community Engagement Using Web-Based Resources, authored by Shannon Kane, Lauren Plain, Nancy Mannion, and Thelma Kuska. At this time, the chair recognizes Shannon Kane. You will have 1 minute to make an opening statement. Please raise your hand in Zoom to be recognized.
Shannon, your microphone is unmuted, but we're not getting any audio from you. So once again, just make sure that your browser has permissions to access your microphone by clicking on that padlock and clicking the permissions button. And also,
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
We got you.
Oh, great.
Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Shannon Kane from North Carolina, and I'm here to present to you Resolution GA 21-09, Increasing Community Resources. As an emerging professional, I have discovered the importance of community connection and have noticed the potential for involvement in my own community. As the president of the Heart of Carolina chapter of ENA, my chapter and I have sought out ways to engage with the community, but have had trouble finding consistent opportunities. I have discussed community engagement with other ENA members who have great ideas regarding how they connect with their own community. These conversations shed light on the positive impact that a platform for resource and idea sharing across the nation, states, chapters, and globally can have on our involvement in the community that we serve and the nursing community. Taking advantage of the existing ENA Connect platform to expand opportunities to engage the nursing and great community improves ease of information sharing while also saving states, chapters, and members time seeking out opportunities or ideas that may already exist. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. The floor is now open for 10 minutes of discussion on Proposal 21-09. And once again, if you wish to speak, please raise your hand in Zoom and we will recognize you. Just raise your hands and we will ask you to unmute. Each speaker is limited to 1 minute. At this time, the chair recognizes Margaret Verpolgen. Please raise your hand in Zoom and unmute when you're prompted to do so. And Keith Dawson is next to follow. Please raise your hand also. Please make sure you unmute your microphone. We see your video.
This is Mark living from Montana, speaking for myself. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I would vote against this proposal. I'm a nurse who's been a patient. There's already numerous OSHA standards that's in the workplace. This resolution offers no avenue enforcing it, about flagging of electronic medical records to warn of patients with a history of violence, and they refuse to allow nurses to participate in nurse self-defense courses, and it absolutely does nothing to address inadequate staffing and being guilted into picking up extra shifts so we don't leave our co-workers shorthanded. I thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Margaret, but I believe that was discussion for the next proposal that's coming up. Moving on, though, Chair recognizes Keith Dawson, followed by Chelsea Collins. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, my name is Keith Dawson. I'm speaking to you from the great state of Georgia, and I am speaking for the Georgia State Council. We support this resolution basically for three ideas. The first one being that it's going to be a great place for nurses that are already involved to share the knowledge of the different community agencies they're working with. The second one is it's obviously a great opportunity for nurses that want to get involved, experienced nurses, to find those agencies and find out what the needs of those agencies are. And then the third one, and probably the most important, is a lot of us get newer nurses that reach out to us and ask us where can they get involved or how. This would give us a central point to steer them toward so they can figure out what they want to get involved with so their heart's into it and they're not just being sent sort of in any kind of direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Chelsea Collins.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Collins from Colorado, speaking on behalf of myself. I want to recognize and thank Lauren and Shannon on this resolution. I think that this is a good thing to provide resources for those who want to have additional resources to work within the community. And I don't think that there's any reason that we shouldn't be able to do something like that. We are able to do more than one thing at once, and that we should be able to have additional resources. And this could provide guidance and help with that. Community service is sometimes very challenging to navigate if you're a community service chair. So I think that this could be very beneficial. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Penelope Blake.
Hi, this is Penelope Blake speaking on behalf of myself and the Florida delegation. We are in favor of this resolution. Not only will it help provide large states like ours that are geographically distant with ways and means of knowing what we can do to help each other from one end of the state to the other. The other thing I would point out is that this is, as someone once said, a great way to get those people involved who want to do things but may not always be able to come to the state council meetings or local meetings. And it can be a great tool in order to be able to recruit new members, especially a lot of those that are in nursing schools right now, because they have a lot of community service activities that sometimes you find a means to be able to be a part of.
Thank you. At this time, there are no additional speakers in the queue. Is there any further discussion? If not, we will move on to the last proposal, GA 21-10. Identify and support ways that decrease emergency department nurses taking work-related stress home, authored by Joan Soames. At this time, the chair recognizes Joan Soames. You will have 1 minute to make an opening statement. Please raise your hand in Zoom to be recognized.
Joan, you are unmuted at this point in time? Or you were?
Joni, are you there? Stand by while we try to get Joni on here. You can try calling into using your phone if you need to. Okay, you're unmuted. But we don't hear you.
Joan, this is Anna with Lumi. Just want to make sure. Oh, there we go.
Joni, is that you? Hello?
Yeah.
You can go ahead if you can hear us. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go
Okay.
ahead.
I think she's talking. I'm just on mute on my end.
So this is Joni Soames. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Joan, go ahead, please.
Okay. This is Joni Soames from Minnesota to resolution related to workplace violence, holding admissions, patients stacked up in the halls and triage, patients sharing stories of increased violence being inflicted on the patients, and short staffing. Does this sound familiar? So before, clinician fatigue and secondary traumatic stress, which was now being compounded by primary traumatic stress caused by our work environment. More importantly, we could see our work-related stress was negatively impacting. It was easy to protect them from COVID by stripping and showering before we had effects of work-related stress. We refocused our initial goal aimed at improving nurses' workplace environment and created a roadmap to see if the roadmap addresses, let the General Assembly determine if they need to have more discussion related to not only compassion fatigue and secondary traumatic stress, but all stress that we're seeing by what's happening in our workplace. Thank you.
Thank you. The floor is now open for 10 minutes of discussion on Proposal 21-10. Once you're called upon to speak, please raise your hand in Zoom to be given audio and camera rights. Each speaker is limited to 1 minute. And at this time, the chair recognizes Michael Moon. Please raise your hand in Zoom to be recognized.
Hello, this is Michael Moon from the state of Texas, speaking on behalf of myself. I think we as healthcare providers are really good helping others, but we have a tendency to neglect our own health sometimes. And we used to have a committee at ENA that really kind of addressed wellness. And I really would encourage the board to consider re-implementing that with maybe some new charges. This would definitely fit within that very easily. If we don't take care of ourselves, our mental health, our physical selves, even our spiritual selves, how can we provide optimal patient care to others? So I just would ask everyone to please really think about that, because you are important to our patients as well as to your family. So we must take care of ourselves. Thanks.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Chelsea Collins, followed by Lisa Lyle. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Chelsea Collins from State, as if you guys don't know where I live now. I just wanted to highlight that this was a resolution from last year that I co-authored, and we already passed part of this information on identifying the needs of mental, physical, and socioeconomic health of nurses. And so I feel like some of this work may already be in place. Also, I want to just highlight that I feel like I don't want to reduce the importance of what this what the intended outcome of this resolution is, but my concern with how it is currently structured, that it may not be done in the best of ways without duplicating everything that's already in place. So I think that it, like Michael Moon was saying, perhaps doing a different sort of approach to this would be a better way to handle it. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Lisa Lyle. And Jenny Ennis is to follow. Please also raise your hand in Zoom.
Hi, my name is Lisa Lyle, and I am speaking on behalf of Maryland State ENA Council. We are in favor of this resolution, given the significant impact and toll compassion fatigue is taking on nurses, and also as presented in this resolution, the toll it is taking on family and close friends of nurses. Our support of this resolution does include a suggested change. Based on the significant and abundant research that is available and being conducted on compassion fatigue in nurses, we suggest striking the first resolved and keeping the second resolved clause. In addition, we would suggest tasking this to this resolution to the Wellness Committee. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Jenny Ennis. Please raise your hand in Zoom. And Deborah Skeen is to follow. So also please raise your hand.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. This is Gigi Ennis from the great state of Georgia, speaking on behalf of myself and the Georgia delegation. We reviewed this resolution, and we are in support with some clarification. I mean, the nugget of this looks like you know, you're having a terrible time at work, and you know, how can we keep it to ourselves? And so we agree with the other speakers that are suggesting that we you know, support ER nurse wellness sharing you know, with others that are close to us is a major mechanism for coping. And the environment right now is more and more problematic. All of these stressors listed, we absolutely acknowledge, but our delegation feels that the focus should be on improving nurse wellness and the environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Deborah Skeen, and Kevin McFarland is to follow. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Speaking on behalf of myself, I am realizing that there's some duplicating efforts, so I think it'd be good to look at that. However, I believe that whatever we're doing to support emergency nurses and keeping them at the bedside is not enough. I'm aware of a lot of efforts to help emergency nurses cope as best they can. However, I think there are ways that we can look at to support through the administrative level and possibly even through the judicial level with legislation such as Safe Harbor. Thank you for my time.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Kevin McFarland and Lisa Scott to follow. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Hi there, Kevin McFarland here from the great state of Texas, representing myself. I would like to hear Lisa Wolf's thoughts on this resolution. I know she's written a couple papers on this that are absolutely incredible. If you haven't read those, make sure you do. But I would love to hear Dr. Wolf's take on this resolution and what should be done next by the organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And I'm being informed that Lisa Wolf right now is unavailable to speak with us. So I'll recognize the next person. It's Lisa Scott. The chair recognizes Lisa Scott, followed by Barry Hudson. Please raise your hands in Zoom.
Hi, my name is Lisa Scott. I'm from the state of Virginia, speaking on behalf of myself. While I definitely support the premise behind this resolution, I personally cannot support it as it is written. I feel that having ENA investigate causes and impacts is a very subjective thing, and I feel like it's a lot to ask of the organization. Perhaps if we could reword it or actually put in some sort of lining of developing a toolkit. I just think it's really hard to identify actual causes because everybody reacts differently. Everybody has their own, you know, kind of impacts on themselves. So I just want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Barry Hudson.
Yes, sir. Appreciate the time. I would just like to say that I would support Michael Moon's suggestion that the board consider reinstating the Wellness Committee, which addressed this problem very well in the past, and I think that's a good avenue. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Carol Anderson. Please raise your hand in Zoom.
Hi, I'm Chris. I am speaking from Minnesota. I am speaking for myself, but we have hospitals that are full, ER nurses leaving right and left because we are burned out. I think because ENA is trying to be a national speaking voice for our hospitals and our ERs, we should have, I am voting for this, that we have something, the ENA look at a way to support us before we lose all the rest of the nurses. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, there are no further speakers in the queue. And we will conclude discussion on this proposed resolution. And this concludes the open reference hearings. So thank you all so much for your patience and participation during this discussion. Now I yield the floor back to Ron Kraus.
Thank you, Dan. Great job. Great job. Thank you so much for leading the open reference hearings and your leadership on the Resolutions Committee. The Resolutions Committee will deliberate based on the dialogue held during today's reference hearing discussions. The committee will determine recommendations and prepare potential amendments to each proposal, all of which will be presented to the General Assembly tomorrow for consideration. The committee's recommendations will also include any proposals placed on the consent agenda. Proposed amendments will be posted on the General Assembly delegates webpage later today. And state captains, stay tuned for your email. You will be emailed directly when that happens. So we need you to, once you get that email, disseminate that out to everybody that know that everything's uploaded on that webpage, all right? So please check the website for any posted amendments prior to returning to tomorrow's second day of General Assembly. The Lumi platform will reopen tomorrow. Thank you everyone for your dynamic discussion, and I look forward to a healthy debate and vote tomorrow morning. And I just want to say before we recess that, you know, even though with all the technical difficulties and people sitting in maybe in your rooms by yourself or rooms and groups of people, the fact that we are together and focused and dedicating ourselves to emergency nursing, that is so, so awesome. So thank you very much for your dedication to the association and emergency nursing in general. So this meeting is now in recess until 8 a.m. Central Time on Wednesday. See y'all soon.